Well, I remember when we were talking about the Superman casting, going, who's going to be Superman? Who's going to be Lois? Who's going to be Lex? Well, today we're saying who's going to be Cyclops? Who's going to be Storm? Who's going to be Wolverine? And there's a lot of rumors of who is going to be who. And there's right now, the character of the week is Cyclops. That's right. There are rumors out there about who will play Cyclops. We will go through those rumors and see what we think. There's a lot of stuff going on with Captain America, Brave New World. Not one of us knows when we're going to see it, or even if we will. But we are going to discuss that. There's the Spider-Man animated show, which I assume Coy has seen. I don't know if Winston's seen it yet. I have not, but we will discuss that. There is stuff going on with DC. There's stuff going on more with Marvel. There's tons of it on Capes and Cowls, the Kristian Harloff show. So thank you for being here today. I appreciate it. Let's get into it. It's Capes and Cowls. It's Kristian Harloff show. Let's do it. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Capes and Cowls Kristian Harloff show. It is the Friday show, and as always, joining me on the show today, both Coy Jandro from and only DC. That's it. Nothing else. He does nothing else except that. And Winston A. Marshall. Hello, gentlemen. How are you?
Chilling, man. Just packing. It sucks.
Packing up the same way the Haktua girl did. She gone.
Way to make your millions on the way out.
Way to transition that.
Yeah, she gone. So it's good to have you guys here. We're talking about, yeah, we got a lot to talk about today. As I mentioned, the Cyclops stuff, the Spider-Man stuff. There's a lot of things there's a lot of different rumors going on out there. So we'll discuss that and more on today's show. And the question is, does anybody care about the Cyclops? Who knows? I don't know. We'll discuss that today. What I do know is that Mike Kalinowski has been jumping back and forth trying to win this week because he I don't know, Coy, did you know what happened last week?
It was like within 10, right? Like didn't
but what happened was that Roca started the week, did pretty decent. And then Mike said, well, I'm going to try to hop on with Roxy and see if I can win there. So he did, and they did 100 and something or whatever it might be. And then so Steph comes in on Thursday and says, all right, let's see what I can do. So she had like 35 questions as we were about to sign off, 35 or 40 questions. They're about to sign off. And then the audience just kept her there and got it to 125 or something while we were signing off. And then Winston and Mike tried to come in to while you were gone and say, well, Capes and Cowls always wins on Friday. So that's when I'll win. I'm on twice a week. And he still lost.
Three last week with Mike.
Bro.
He had 2 last week.
Okay.
Bro, we were so close. We were off by, I want to say, like 7, maybe 10.
Something like that.
Something like that.
It was
the problem was the question stopped at like 11:45. I was like, all right, let's listen. Kristian was like, hell no, we ain't got no questions. I got shit to talk about. We gonna go. And I said, sir, 15 minutes, they come through, and then it stopped. So. Yeah,
that's what happened. So it's like that. But the difference was that when Steph was signing off, when we ran out of questions, people wouldn't let us sign off. When they let us sign off here, that's what happens. Anyway, so today you got your guys' competition, not too bad. You got Roxy all by her lonesome at 110.
Wow, that's impressive, Roxy. What are we talking about?
Yeah.
On Tuesday, I don't know what the main topic was. I can't remember, to be honest. It's all kind of a blur, Winston. It's all kind of a blur. I'm not sure, but nonetheless, we talked TV stuff, other things, but it was a good show, and so fans were there to support Rox. But we are going to get into this topic right away. And the first one is that this is now, I feel like yesterday we talked about somebody else being up for the role, but this one is Harris Dickinson is rumored to be up for the role of Cyclops in the MCU reboot. Baby girl and the Iron Claw star Harris Dickinson is rumored to be on Marvel Studios' radar to play Scott Summers / Cyclops in the X-Men reboot. Though we're probably still a while away from the official news, as far as we know, a director isn't attached yet. X-Men casting rumors have been picking up steam over the past few weeks, and now we have word on another actor who could be in the mix to play Scott Summers. According to Jeff Schneider on this week's episode of The Hot Mic, Harris Dickinson might be one of the actors Marvel Studios is looking at to play the leader of the team, Cyclops, in the long-awaited reboot. Follows an earlier rumor that claimed that Jack Champion is being eyed for the part. Schneider does note that this is just something he's heard through the grapevine. If he thought Dickinson was actually in contention for the role, he'd have included the story in a newsletter, but he knows Marvel likes the actor and thinks he could be a frontrunner. Previous rumors have named Stranger Things alum Sadie Sink as a likely pick for Jean Grey, and we've heard that the Bears' Io Adebiri is on the studio's radar to play Storm. That's interesting. I didn't hear that one yet. How old is she, guys? Can someone look that up while we do this?
Yeah, give me a second.
Yeah, let me know. Kitty Pryde and Gambit, but will it be Channing Tatum also are expected to be on the team? Marvel
29.
does what? How long?
29.
Okay. Though Marvel does finally appear to be making progress on the elusive X-Men movie, official updates have been few and far between. All we know for sure is that Michael Leslie is currently working on the script and that a director is being sought. If some of the X-Men make their debut in the next Avengers movie, which they are rumored to, there's a chance we get some casting fairly soon. Okay, we don't need the quote from Feige. It's the same one that we've heard. Okay, so there's a couple different people that have been rumored for it. I think, Coy, where I want to start with this, though, is that, there's all these different rumors, and it just seems like in the same way when the rumors are coming out about Superman and the casting, and those rumors turned out to be very real, like the people that were in contention. It was the Rachel Brosnahan, Nicholas Hoult, Corn Sweat. They were all in contention, and they ultimately got the role. So I do believe that these people are in contention because it's the same people that are talking about it. But more so, where I want to go with it, Coy, is the age range, right? Because Sadie Sink is young 20s. This kid that was rumored from Avatar is 20. I don't know how old this guy from Baby Girl is. I think he's mid 20s, late 20s. And then, of course, I hear from the Bear she is 29, as Winston just said. To me, when Storm plays a little older than the rest of the crew, a 29 to a 22 makes sense, as opposed to when we're talking about Cynthia Erivo, which is 38, 39, playing to a 20, very different demographic. So what do you think about the casting in general? Do you think we're going to get the younger X-Men here?
What I think is interesting is if they go with like 2 tiers of ages. Like, I'm really curious if it starts out with an established school where some of the X-Men we know and love are already like professors, and if they then add new students, like I imagine they could do an origin Xavier, the core 5. I would also add in some of the stuff from like, the giant size X-Men, but they could do everyone young, but they could also do different tiers depending on how established they want this team to be. It seems like if you're going mid to late 20s, there has to be some form of established, because the X gene activates in puberty, and unless something went awry, they've had that power for a little while in their late 20s. So I feel like it's going to be the team already at play, or they might age them down for a movie and let them play them for a long time. But it does seem to be they're going older than the teenagers that the comic started as. They're typically teens.
What do you think, Winston?
I don't know much about this Harris kid, but he looks the role, so there's certainly that. I do not like the AO casting, but I don't like Cynthia either. It is not because they are not talented actresses. They are fantastic. Storm is 6 foot tall. AO is like 5'4", 5'5". Cynthia Erivo is 5'1".
Yeah,
she's literally supposed to be a goddess, like a tall drink of water. You look at her, she's almost Amazonian and has these incredible powers. They're both gorgeous women. They're both incredibly talented women. If we're really gonna go for it, man, there is something even about the dynamic. If we end up seeing at some point, Wolverine and Storm, because that's sometimes is a thing, or Storm and T'Challa. There is something specific about Storm and Wolverine in that universe where it exists.
Yeah.
Storm being so much taller than Wolverine adds to that relationship in its own little way.
Sure.
Kind of having his own little man syndrome. And I know we're keeping Hugh Jackman, so you really
we're not necessarily keeping Hugh Jackman for not for this.
I thought that they had said that he was potentially sticking around the whole time.
They said he signed on for he's going to be
Got
around for 10 years. We don't know in what capacity that means. He could be doing
Fair.
Deadpool and Wolverine movies.
Fair.
That would be a major mistake if they have a 20-year-old, 22-year-old Jean Grey and freaking 55-year-old Hugh Jackman. That's weird. It's weird.
I mean, but it also, you got to remember though, that's so, like, I get it because then that's the actresses, but you also know that is part of what makes Wolverine's lusting after Jean weird. He was born in the 1800s.
I know,
and
but
he's out here hitting on like a 25, 27-year-old.
Yeah, but you don't know it as an audience member that you see a 55-year-old guy sitting there with a 22-year-old.
That's the whole point. That's why his weird sort of flirtation with Rogue in these movies was supposed to be the replacement for that.
You're talking about comic books to animated to seeing two actors. It'll be weird, dude. There's no world that you can do. There's no world, and that people won't be making that a thing, and they should be making that a thing.
I thought it already was one just because of that. Coy, I hear what you're saying, and I'm sure it plays very different in live action, but I thought that was something that we all were like, yeah, Wolverine, why you lusted this hard, bro? Like,
I mean, Wolverine doesn't have anyone his age, but I've never seen it as it would feel straight up like gross in live action.
Right.
Like there's no way that could come across fine. So like I don't think they'd go. I think the actors are going to be close to the same age or within 10 years, and then it'd be like a Richard Gere and whoever rom-com in the 90s thing versus a thing.
Yeah. I just
For the sake of romance and not a gassed hood.
Yeah, I think he's going to be signed on to do side movies with Ryan Reynolds or whatever they're going to do, multiverse stuff.
And I think, I was going to say, Winston, I think you're accurate in the MCU element, but I think the X-Men are going to be introduced kind of like the Fantastic Four, where it's a different pocket, and then they might come together. But I see Wolverine, like Secret Wars and Doomsday, like what you're speaking to, I think is going to be over there. But I think they're very aggressively planning a reset of X-Men. But I do also think that means we get the old X-Men in Secret Wars to make the scope bigger. I don't think it was a coincidence. We've talked about this a lot. Those Fox actors not showing up in Deadpool is to save them, not to omit them.
Right. Well, and you look at this, I mean, so this guy from Baby Girl, and he was great in Iron Claw. He was really good in Iron Claw. I can see his look. I can see him as Cyclops for sure. Like you look like absolutely.
He's so good in Triangle of Sadness. He's so good in Baby Girl. Like, he's amazing in Baby Girl. Yeah. We all thought Iron Claw is maybe one of the biggest snubs in Oscars. Dude's fantastic. So, I think his physicality is there. I think he's the right age, depending on how they decide to age the X-Men. Like, he could fit the demo if they're going mid-20s, late 20s. I don't know what their demo goal is, so I can only speak to he'd be good. I don't know what that means for the rest of the team.
That's right. I mean that's true. It's like we it's so up in the air because the other side of it, and I don't know if we talked about it, guys. I don't think that we did, but the Russos, the idea that the big rumor out there is that the Russos will oversee the X-Men movies and that they potentially might even direct the first one, right? The conversation I had with Roka about this was that, to me, that if that is the case, and they decide they want to do that, and they decide they're going to do that, then you will take it to the bank and bet everything that you have on the fact that the new X-Men or some of the new X-Men will show up in that last Avengers movie because they'll be setting it up. They'll be the ones that are putting it into place in the same way that they put other things to place in Civil War and Infinity Game and all that stuff. So let me ask you that first, Winston. What do you think about that report that the Russo brothers will be taking over the X-Men movie? Do you think it's a right fit? And do you think moving forward that they will absolutely set them up in that last movie?
So I covered this on the Blurred Breakdown over on my channel, and I went kind of deep into it. And I think the thing that I like about it the most is that they've proven that they're maybe the best in the game currently of dealing with ensemble pieces like this, and especially with big action set pieces as well. There was no point at which Civil War ever felt crowded. It always felt like it was perfectly balanced. The same could be said about Infinity War and Endgame. You're literally bringing every hero in there and even throwing in some villains randomly that we had seen in the past, and it still didn't feel overly stuffed. They were all used in their kind of perfect little way, and you focus on the main group you need to, and then bring everyone in for the finale. So I already trust them to do that with Doomsday and Secret Wars, but especially knowing that it's been kind of teased potentially that Avengers v X-Men is going to be kind of where we're going as we introduce the X-Men and stuff like that. I think that they are the perfect two to try and take that helm.
What do you think, Coy?
I agree. I also thinking about just the overall state of filmmaking. It is really interesting that the Russo brothers' other films haven't done well. So it's like they're tripling down on superhero stuff. And I think they're the right guys for it. I hope we can maintain the level of love for superhero content while also other movies starting to do as well. It just scares me that the Russos tried to do other stuff and now they're back and it's like, we're doing Doomsday, we're doing Secret Wars, we're doing X-Men. And like, they're really capable directors. So I hope we get to a point where movies do well all year and that we can have more types of movies being exceptionally big and having these directors get to play than only having to do, I'm going to do a small movie, I'm going to do a superhero movie. I'm going to do, because it's just scary if we put all our eggs in the superhero basket.
I agree with you, but I think that the reason why we think for them, for that example of, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do something small, they have not done that. They have not done anything small.
Pretty small.
I mean, maybe, but the other movies that they're doing are pretty damn big. In between those Netflix movies are like $250 million budget movies. You know,
it just seems, I loved The Gray Man, but I'm the one.
No. You and I are the only.
I talked about this. The only like thriller of it all. Yeah,
that's it. We're the only two people that like that movie. But it cost a lot of money. That movie, those Netflix movies cost a ton. That was one of the big stories with them is how much money they were spending on those. So they've been making big movies. They just haven't doing it theatrically. And the conversation that I had with Roka's like, well, yeah, you know, now they don't have like the goodwill with the people anymore because their movies didn't do very well, so people will be judging them on that. And I go, there's no comic book movie fan that is judging them on their Netflix movies. They're not. They're judging them on now. If their last Marvel movie would have been horrendous, then they would have been judged on it.
You also have a lot of clout. I get that you had the Marvel brand behind you, but you have a lot of clout that the last 3 movies you did in Marvel all crossed $1 billion. You know what I'm saying? And 2
close
of them
to it, right?
Crossed 2 because Civil War, I want to say, hit like 900 to $1 billion.
Close,
and then Endgame and Infinity War both crossed 2. So like you have a lot of wiggle room where people are gonna be like, no,
right? You
just had a bad outing. I mean, look, man. As a person, super, super nice. M. Night Shyamalan has had one mega banger and then a bunch of like mid stuff and a bunch of really bad stuff, man. So I think they'll be all right just having the 1 or 2 at Netflix that didn't go off very well.
But they're more than all right. I'm telling you, there's nobody that is a Marvel fan that is paying attention. Well, you know what? These words will never come out of anybody's mouth except maybe Roka's, and even and even he wouldn't stand by it. You're never going to hear this. You know what? I loved Civil War when I was watching MCU. I loved Infinity War. I loved Endgame. And man, then I saw Greay Man. I'm not going to see their other Avengers movies. No one's going to say that.
Roka probably would say that. You're right. Just to be contrarian.
Yeah, but then he would go. Then he would go watch the movie. So I think that it is the right move in general because I just think that then you have all the reports yesterday of and I'm assuming because I know you guys well enough, Chris Evans is full of crap, right? He's coming back.
I feel like he's got to be full of crap. I feel like he's coming back, bro. Like,
what do you think, Coy?
I hope people. I think we've talked about it in this show. Like lying do more lying. Like everyone should do the lying. Like I don't think we should know as much about these movies. And if they're gonna get asked 100 times, do lying.
But I don't think you need to lie. This is what Steph and I talked about. I think that so Coy, I'm Chris Evans. Ask me if I'm going to be in the movie.
Hey, Chris, I'm sure you've seen that we've got a lot of members of the original team coming back for the Doomsday and Secret Wars kind of double action. Are you excited to re-team up with these classic heroes?
You know, Coy, I've been getting that question a lot of whether or not I was going to come back as Captain America. And this is really all I can tell you. I might be in it. I might not be in it. Who knows? You got to see the movie. That's
times 100.
If not that, that's a great question, Coy. So I'm actually working on this movie over here, Dracula meets Batman. I'm really excited about it. It's going to be super, super awesome,
and
man.
Turn it around, and just completely deflect it. But if you say straight out, either I am or I'm not. That's ultimately what you're talking about, Coy. Is like don't ruin the surprise. Like I'm either going to be in it. You're gonna be excited I'm in it, or you're gonna not be excited I'm in it, or I'm not gonna be in it. You're gonna be excited I'm not in it, or you're gonna be bummed I'm not in it. So that's all I can tell you, because then you don't get called a liar, right? It's like you don't, because you have to lie, you have to. But if you come up with that answer, you don't need to.
You could probably also hit him with the, hey, man, have you seen my boy Anthony Mackie? He flying around in that suit. Woo,
Right.
He threw that shield extra nice. It's going to be cool.
It does feel like there's finally, we've talked about this for like 6 months. It does feel like there's finally some Cap hype. Like, I don't know what changed, but this week I'm like, it's not as big as I'd like it to be, but I feel like we're actually discussing it outside of shows. Like,
but you don't think that came with the controversy?
I mean, the controversy was so ignorant, so maybe. Like, I don't know. Like, it literally, he just said what Chris Evans said 6 years ago, and less, like, he said it more daintily than Chris did.
Yeah.
But people wanted to find something to yell at, so like maybe that helped. And then that apology that was literally written by someone else. I don't know. Maybe that helped, but
yeah,
there was like apology? A very. I, of course, as an American, love America, and as Americans, we must be Americans and soldiers.
But this is what I said the other day in it too. Is that you can have like I knew what he meant when he was talking about it. I knew, and
it's very obvious.
And you're also not wrong in the way that Chris Evans also said it whenever he did. My thought process, I always said though too, is especially in the and this is what people said. How come it was okay when Chris Evans said it? We weren't in as much of a volatile kind of back and forth with fandom and everything in the way that it is today, in the way that also. You're trying to sell a product. That's what you're trying to do. And so when it comes down to and very simple, what we just talked about just now with that answer, are you going to be in a movie? There needs to be and maybe it's less fun. It's certainly less fun for us, myself, you, Winston and Coy, when it comes to interviewing people, but there should be answers that are just like, hey, if they ask you this, say, excited to be in it, going to be doing this, and this, here's my standard answer, boom, 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 boom. We're selling the product because Marvel's in a place they can't, because everybody needs to buy these tickets. This is like a very expensive movie. So if anyone does feel alienated, whether or not, Coy, that it is they misread the comment, they didn't understand what it was, you got to be so careful, because that's why they had that apology, right? It's because they're like, oh, well, we don't want to lose our ticket sales here. We're trying to sell this movie in general.
But we'd never be talking about it if he didn't say something.
You're not wrong.
If he said a milquetoast quote, like right now, we wouldn't be saying, we're talking about Cap.
Yeah, and that's going to be the $1 million question, is that because then what you and I will be following up with on that very statement in about 2-3 weeks from now is, okay, well, you and I both said, hey, people were talking about the movie, and if it doesn't do very well, I'm going to say, well, that doesn't seem like it got ticket sales in there, to which you could counter and go, well, maybe they would have done even less had he not talked about it. So you don't really know. It is
too many variables to really know.
Too many variables, but I think that there's merit to a lot of different. Look, I still think everybody in Disney needs better PR and in general. In general,
dude, Spiderman and the Daredevil showrunner, and then like it's great. What a week!
Everything when it comes to PR, Disney is not good at it. They just aren't. They have this stuff where you've got you have these people out there that are, and not even necessarily answers like this. I'm talking about just standard things when it comes to, I always talk about the Kathleen Kennedy side of it, when it was like, hey, when she says something along the lines of, well, we don't have any source material. That's not what we do. You just pooped in the writers' faces from the books and the comics that you said was canon. You made a whole big statement about this, about everything's canon now. And then 5 years later, you go, we don't have source material. And it's like little things like that. You gotta have like, okay, just make sure that follow this guideline. Here's this, just go by this. When you're selling a $200 million product, when you're selling a $20-30 million product, be controversial, have a blast, do whatever you want to do. It's like that's okay, because you want to get noticed for your movie and you don't care because you're just aiming at one side. Do what you got to do, but it's a product, it's a business. So anyway, okay, I don't know what that meant, Winston, but all right, let's get to. We're speaking of which, Captain America. We have this here, and Brave New World's Anthony Mackie says Cap is my Oscar, and then talks Doomsday rumors. Mackie has largely missed out on major awards during his acting career, but makes a case for why playing Captain America means more than any of that. He also addresses the Avengers Doomsday rumors. Anthony Mackie has delivered plenty of award-worthy performances, whether it's 8 Mile, The Manchurian Candidate, $1 Million Baby, The Hurt Locker, or even Netflix's Altered Carbon. He's impressed on screen time and time again. However, he's frequently being overlooked as something the actor is well aware of. Asked by Esquire about the way his career has played out in terms of award success or lack of, Mackie said, "This ain't no overnight shit. It's always apropos for me when award seasons come up because I know I've done at least 4 performances that could have been nominated, if not a Golden Globe, then an Oscar or an Emmy. A consolation for Mackie is the fact that he's now the face of a new blockbuster franchise, starting with Captain America: Brave New World next month. Captain America is my Oscar," he tells the site, "because I've been overlooked so many times in my career. Expectations that come on taking this role aren't lost on the Falcon and the Winter Soldier star." Acknowledging that those are something that nobody talks about, Mackie noted, "Nobody really acknowledges the mental jousting that takes place. When I walk out of this hotel, I don't walk out of this hotel as Anthony Mackie. I walk out of this hotel as Captain America. How long Mackie will wield the shield remains to be seen. Another solo movie will hinge on Captain America: Brave New World success, and reports are swirling that Evans is set to reprise the role in Avengers Doomsday. He's denied that, and his successor claims to have been kept in the dark about that too. He said, I didn't know. I talked to Chris a few weeks ago and it wasn't on the table then. At least he didn't tell me it was on the table because I asked him. I was like, they said they're bringing everybody back. Are you coming back? I learned that right there. My manager showed me. He's like, oh, I guess Chris is coming back. And that's all I know. I haven't seen the script. Of course, if recent rumors are to be believed, Evans may not be playing Captain America. As we told you a little earlier, the Russo brothers appear keen on putting Mackie's cap front and center. As Anthony told the site, he represents a unique space in the Avengers spectrum, and that's the greatest thing because sooner or later, the collective storytelling is going to be in that space he occupies. Captain America: Brave New World, after meeting with the newly elected U.S. President Thaddeus Ross, played by Harrison Ford in his MCU debut, Sam Wilson finds himself in the middle of an international incident. He must discover the reason behind a nefarious global plot before the true mastermind has the entire world seeing red. Oh, I see what you did there. Okay. So these comments in general, like to me, these are fantastic comments. These are fantastic comments to where he's saying, hey, look, no, I didn't get the Emmy. I didn't get the Oscar. I didn't do this because to me, the movie I'm promoting, that's my Oscar. That's how you do it. That's how you do it. I thought that was brilliant. I thought he did it really well. He shows the passion for the character in general. He's talking about the movie in general. And people will be like, yeah, this guy loves playing Captain America. And the fact that, hey, look, if Chris is going to come back, he didn't tell me that, but from what I know, I'm going to, he's going to be front and center. This was great PR, but Coy, how do you feel?
I totally agree. I mean, it's literally what we were talking about as, the best way to navigate a tricky situation. I agree in like having the present moment. I've been thinking about Oscars and Emmys and stuff a lot lately, like with snubs and all the vitriol and this Oscar season being so angry. And like when you walk down Hollywood Boulevard and you look at the Walk of Fame, we don't remember a lot of those names. And when you're alive and you're playing a character that people can look up to and connect with, and you feel like you're representing people, that's way more important. So to me, I love that he's addressing that head on. Like these comic films might not ever get the love of certain awards, but the millions of people that celebrate them and the millions of people you get to like have look to you is so much more, I think, impactful. So I love this take.
What do you think about it, Winston?
I mean, I think that to me is where a lot of people, I think their careers don't go the way that they have the potential to do. Like what that reads to me is not just the PR of it, but him putting his heart and soul into this. And if that's what we're getting out of this performance, then that sounds like we're going to get one hell of a movie. At the very least, we're going to get one hell of a connection to his character because he has made that a paramount important part of what he's doing. And that to me is where I think you saw the MCU or any superhero movie that's really hit, is because whoever's playing that role, like Robert Downey Jr. gave his all to Tony Stark. Yeah. And that's what did it. Tom Holland has given his all to Spiderman, which is why he becomes so believable. The loss of Chadwick was so painful because he really became T'Challa. So if he's really going in, and that's how I'm reading it, is that I'm giving a championship level performance here, then it sounds like we're going to have a great movie. And that is what we need to see get reinvigorated into the genre.
All right. So I ask you guys how you're feeling about this overall. Are you excited to see Captain America? Do you believe that Coy's right, man? A lot of people now are talking about this movie a little bit more and needed right before the movie comes out. Put your thoughts out there. Let me know what you're thinking. Okay. Before we move on, because we got some more stuff to discuss and to get to your questions, obviously, we're going to tell you guys about our wonderful sponsors this week. I've been telling you about them all week. I'm excited for you to hear them. I keep getting people who are signing up. And Coy, you're going to be so excited to see who our first one is that's back. I'm going to watch Coy from the little screen on the bottom to watch his big face when he hears the first one. Here we go. And it's Christmas time for me because Trade Coffee is back. I love Trade Coffee, and I've been using Trade Coffee forever since they were on the show last time, and they're back again. For people who make coffee at home, it only takes a minute to transform your coffee routine forever, because that's from our buddies over at Trade. Because with Trade, you discover the secret to making amazing coffee. It's starting with coffee beans, and they match it to your taste, roast it to order, and they deliver it directly from America's top small batch roasters. That's what I dig. It's a coffee subscription, which is the best. So no matter how you brew or what coffee you make, getting coffee from Trade is the easiest way to instantly upgrade your at-home coffee experience. It is the #1 subscription coffee in the U.S., bringing you fresh coffee from over 50 of the country's top small batch roasters. You take their quiz, and in a minute or less, they match you with the perfect coffee. If that first bag is not right, no problem. Trade is going to replace it until they nail it. It's so good. I've been using Trade forever. Coy Jandro is going to be super pumped to hear that they're back also.
Oh my God. The last thing I need is coffee.
He loves it. He loves it. And I'm telling you, I won't, it's like that smell when you woke up as a kid and you just smell the coffee in the house. That's what it reminds me of for Trade. So don't settle for okay coffee. Head to drinktrade.com/big thing. You're going to receive up to 3 bags for free. Drinktrade.com/big thing to get up to 3 bags for free with any new subscription. Go and get yourself some Trade. I'm telling you, that is the best. I can't even tell you how many times I've told you about AG1. AG1 is the best. It is part of my routine every single day. I absolutely love it. This new year just started. You got to try AG1 for yourself. It is the perfect time to start a new healthy habit. I've been partnered with AG1 forever. I mean, for as long as I've started this show, they've been with us. You guys know that. AG1 is offering new subscribers free $76 gift when you sign up. You get a welcome kit, a bottle of D3K2, and 5 free travel packs in your first box. You got to make sure you go to drinkag1.com/big thing to get this offer. That's drinkag1.com/big thing. And you start your new year out on a healthier note. If you want to set some new year goals, for me, that's what I did, and I'm already feeling good. I get some good energy on it. It makes me feel healthy, and AG1 supports that. When I drink AG1 in the morning, I know I'm starting my day off right. I get good sleep quality. It is the best. So make sure you go and you check it out. You are going to appreciate it. I promise. And let's talk about it. I've talked to you guys before in the past about Robinhood. You guys know, you've heard me discuss. Well, I'm going to discuss with you once again. With Robinhood Gold, you can now enjoy the VIP treatment, receiving a 3% IRA match on retirement contributions. The privileges of the very privileged are no longer exclusive. With Robinhood Gold, your annual IRA contributions are boosted by 3%. Plus, you also get 4% APY on your cash-in non-retirement accounts. It's over 8 times the national savings average. The perks of the high net worth are now available for any net worth. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Now, to receive your 3% boost on annual IRA contributions, sign up at robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold at $5 a month for 1 year. First match must keep funds in IRA for 5 years. You got to go to robinhood.com/boost. Over 8 times the national average savings account interest rates claim is based on the data from the FDIC as of November 18th, 2024. Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC. So thank you to Robinhood here for. Thank you for Robinhood, AG1, and of course, Trade Coffee. So excited that Trade is back. Please tell me that you guys out there have been getting Trade. I mean, if you didn't, and you're a coffee drinker, I hate to say it, dumb.
Some of the best coffee I've ever had, and I drink barrels.
I know, and you love Trig. I knew how excited you would be when I told you.
I don't know if you muted me, but I just shared my zeal from here. I hope the audience got to experience.
I don't think they did. I think that the when we play video, the StreamYard automatically mutes people. But
there was a Tarzan-esque yell for the people at home.
So zeal. Good. Yeah,
and it's about drinking coffee the way I do about joy mode.
Oh yeah, joy mode.
That's fair. That's fair.
More than fair. All right, we are gonna do. Winston actually just sent me another, or Coy, somebody sent me another story that we're gonna discuss in a second here. The deadline just broke, but before we do that, guys, right now 28 going into the questions, pretty damn good. 28. All right, let's get to this one. The Superman estate sues Warner Brothers Discovery DC Comics to block the release in key territories. What? That is interesting and a turn of events here. The estate of Superman creator Joseph Schuster is suing Warner Brothers Discovery and its DC Comics, claiming it lacks the rights to release the upcoming summer tentpole in a handful of key territories. Plaintiff Mark Warren Perry. Hold on, this is annoying me. Go away now. Executor to the estate filed the suit today in federal court in the Southern District of New York, seeking damages and injunctive relief for defendants' ongoing infringement in Canada, UK, Ireland, and Australia, as well as declaratory relief establishing the Schuster estate's ownership right across relevant jurisdictions. The matter is ripe for adjudication, it says, as defendants are actively planning a major new Superman motion picture and other derivative works for imminent worldwide release. The latest Superman starring David Corenswet in the title role is in fact set for release on July 11th. Cast includes Rachel Brosnahan, Nicholas Hoult, Maria Gabriella. Warner and Perry and his longtime legal team have been in court before, most recently regarding termination rights under the U.S. Copyright Act, but the automatic foreign copyright reversion issue in this case did not occur until years later. We fundamentally disagree with the merits of this lawsuit and will vigorously defend our rights, said a WBD spokesperson. At issue are foreign copyrights to the original Superman character and story co-authored by Jerome Siegel and Schuster, though Siegel and Schuster assigned worldwide Superman rights to DC's predecessor in 1938 for a mere $130. The copyright laws of countries with the British legal tradition, including Canada, UK, Ireland, Australia, contain provisions automatically terminating such assignments 25 years after an author's death, vesting in the Schuster estate the co-author's undivided copyright interest in such countries. Okay, this is bound to be the most unwelcome to DC, and parent WBD start to gear up for the release. The trailer was the most viewed and most talked about in the history of both DC and Warner Brothers when it hit in December, said DC Studios' James Gunn on X. This is something that you got to nip in the bud pretty fast, because you're coming up to July, and if they wind up being able to block certain territories, you better throw that magical 800 to 1 billion right out the window. So Winston, let's start with you. You hear the story. What's going through your head?
My immediate thought, I mean, obviously we see litigation happening left and right in the world today, and especially in the industry. They, like you said, I think you nailed it. You have to nip this in the bud quickly, because as we've talked about multiple times, that Superman is the tentpole for all of the DCU to come afterwards. In a lot of ways, it's a tentpole for Warner Brothers and what the future of the studio is if they ultimately resplit Warner Brothers and Discovery, if they sell themselves, whatever may potentially come. You're riding a lot on not just this calendar year, but specifically this movie. And so whatever it takes to make sure that you're able to play this in every country that is feasibly possible, you have got to handle this. So, I'm no legal expert. I don't know the ins and outs of what was really kind of said and all of that, but it just sounds like WB's got to jump on that real quick.
Coy?
So I was reading quickly along with you, and there was something about a 25-year statute, and they died in I think it was 92 and 97, it said. It's interesting they waited. I mean, obviously that's what you want to do, being calculated if you're going to sue somebody, is it's literally months out. I'm curious what the provisions are and what the language is that they're suing under. It's super messy, because the beauty of Superman that he is such a worldwide character. He's arguably a recognizable character in the world. not just comics, not just DC Comics, like the most recognizable character. So hopefully, like I hope that everyone comes to an agreement that isn't a long and bloody and expensive affair. I'm just curious what they're suing over, because obviously they knew a Superman movie is coming out, and I always want people to get what they're owed, but I often feel weird about people's estates suing, because it's not like I don't know the situation, but it often gets messy about people's entitlement.
Yeah.
No, I was gonna agree with Coy that there is something really weird about estates doing that, and Coy, you're right, because the one thing that I think it said is that it was settled law here in the U.S. and it felt like someone goes, I see a thread over here in the UK, exactly. Baby. Let's pull this. Let's pull it and see if we can get as much as we can, to the point where it feels like we know this is going to be $1 billion movie. I want like 250 off this. Like that's what that feels like, to be honest.
It definitely does. I mean, that's what they get paid to do, right? And they get paid to say, oh, God, wait, hold on a second. Hey, listen, there's a Superman movie coming out. Do we have any claim in that? Now, well, wait a minute. The intern was reading over stuff last night, and he found a hole. He did. We're gonna give him a bonus. Get him in and out. But you guys, what you guys want is millions, and we can get it because there's a loophole. And at the very least, Warner Brothers will pay us this. And yeah, it's greedy. It's greedy. There's nothing to do except greedy, and they're trying to block it. So they have to get it. Unfortunately, that's business. They've got to find a way to get it done, and they will. There's no world that they're going to release this movie and be blocked in certain territories. So there's a new rumor out there, guys. This one just dropped. Brandon Sklenar has been all over the place, right? This guy's going to get cast in something big. He's going to get cast in something big. Now, I still think he's the choice for Batman, but there's what we have not heard is Marvel rumors, right?
No.
Well, there's one right now. Brandon Sklenar is rumored to be on Marvel Studios' radar to play Richard Rider. You guys, both you guys go, wow, interesting. I say, who the hell is Richard Rider? Because we first got confirmation that Marvel Studios was planning to introduce Nova, I guess that's who it is, to the Marvel Cinematic Universe back in 2022. And since then, there have been conflicting reports and which medium the project would be developed for. There was talk of Nova for a movie for quite a while, but we know that the space-faring hero will actually be making his debut on the small screen after all, and we might know one of the actors that they're looking at. Jeff Schneider believes that It Ends With Us star Brendan Sklenar could be on Marvel Studios' radar to play Richard Rider in the upcoming Nova series. Sklenar name might be familiar even if you haven't seen it, as the actor is popular fan pick to play Batman and has expressed interest in suiting up as the Dark Knight on more than one occasion. We're not sure if Sklenar is actually in talks at Marvel, but like Harris Dickinson, Snyder seems to feel that he's someone the studio is keen to work with. As for Dickinson, they claim that Baby Girl is not in talks, after all, to play Scott Summers. So there you go. There's a follow-up to our story. I'll tell you what. I know nothing about Nova. And even the pictures, I maybe just being selfish of what I want. I'd rather be Batman than this guy.
I mean, the easiest way to describe Nova, because it's the Nova Corps, think of the Green Lantern Corps in DC. This is kind of the Marvel equivalent of that. Similar type deal where it's like cosmic powers and things like that. Super strong, super fast, flying through space. Instead of a ring, it's their helmet that kind of holds it. I'm more familiar with Sam Alexander just because I really got introduced to Nova in the Ultimate Spider-Man like animated show that came out in like the mid 2000s, early teens. But Richard was the OG. If I correct me if I'm wrong, Coy. And I think honestly he is such a the Nova Corps is so fascinating. You keep talking about how good Brandon Sklenar is. I feel like he would absolutely crush what is needing to be brought for the Nova Corps. So I'm here for it, but I get what you're saying. You would prefer him be Batman. So.
Yeah. Coy?
I personally don't know the dude's work as well as you guys, so I'm not as invested in what he chooses to do. I am excited that we're getting a new Batman and new Nova. So the fact that this dude, I'm happy for him getting to be discussed to such big projects. I think Nova is one of those properties that it's going to either be a big surprise hit because the writing is so good that it blows people away because there is so much opportunity for nuance in the Space Cop series and diving into some cosmic stuff, but in a grounded way. Like, if you write Nova well, it could be special. But the problem is it's also a character that if you don't write well, it could be another really rough foray into Marvel. Like, it's not something you can just kind of make. So I think him being a great actor, as you guys espouse, is a good sign if he's reading for him.
I would highly recommend, Coy. I think that 1920 was it 1923? Is that the name of it? That is what you should be checking out. The one with Harrison Ford, and because I had never seen him before, and I was watching that show with my wife, and I remember looking at her going, "That dude is a star. Like, that dude's a star." And that was about a year and a half, 2 years ago, and I was like, "Yeah, you're gonna see." He's just got that thing. He's got that thing, and that movie, whatever it was, what's the Blake Lively controversy movie? What's it called?
It ends with us.
It ends with us. I mean, the movie was whatever, but he stood out again. He's just a dude that stands out. You watch just a little bit of that show, Coy, and you'll know it immediately. Like, you'll get it immediately.
And it seems like casting is noticing on both sides, which is great.
Yeah. So we'll see. I like I said, I'd much rather him be in the DC version. I don't know this.
Okay. This is completely random. I just looked up his IMDb and I was like, do I recognize anything that he was in? And my girl absolutely loves New Girl, and we end up a lot of times falling asleep to him, man. He actually is a fantastic actor in a very small role in New Girl, where he was hysterical.
Zooey Deschanel?
Yeah, that TV show was Zooey Deschanel. Exactly. He was her best friend in the show. Cece became a model agent. She used to be a model. She becomes an agent, and he becomes the loner model. He was hysterical. So that is what I now know him from. I haven't really seen any of the other stuff that he's in. So go for it.
I would highly recommend watching some of 1923 and seeing what you think. Okay, we got a couple more stories that we can kind of get into today, and like I said, there's more out there for sure. You guys currently stand at 36 questions. It's pretty damn good, I would say.
Third of the way there.
Third of the way. So like I said, there's tons of stuff, but let's get into this one. Well, where the hell is the picture? I'll bring this picture up because I haven't watched any of it yet. I don't know if I know Coy has. And then I know Winston. Have you seen this yet?
Not yet. Editing and moving, but plan to this weekend.
Right. This is more so of just the highest rated. What is this? Every Marvel Studios animation TV show ranked from worst to best according to Rotten Tomatoes. So What If season 3 is 79%, which Coy would probably give it lower than that. What If season 2 is at 87. Am I Groot? Is at 89. What If is at 89. Spiderman is wow. I didn't. Wow. I haven't heard anything about this show. I assumed it was the farts. I guess not. 97% and X-Men 97 at 99, which makes a lot of sense. So Coy, this show isn't the farts?
Not the farts. It was really interesting because it felt like, man, we talked about it at the top, so it's a continuing thread, but I don't know what Disney's doing, marketing and PR. Nobody's talking about it because like it felt like What If, where they're just like, here's a show. Like, how is no one discussing one of their biggest IPs getting a new animated series when so many people love Spectacular Spider-Man, so many people love the 90s Spider-Man, so many people even love the MTV show from 03 with MPH. He's an animated figurehead as well as the movies. This should have been like a cultural moment. This should have been a thing, and it's actually good enough to be. Like, that's what surprised me is once they announced 2 episodes as a premiere, I was like, oh, cool. Like, that's what you do. But then they said like 2 and then 3 and then 3 and then 2. So the 10 episodes is coming out over the course of 4 weeks to squeeze it out before Daredevil. But Charlie Cox voices Daredevil in the show. They announced forever ago. So I'm like, wouldn't that be a cool tie-in? Why not have one show Tuesday, one show Thursday? Like, why are you rushing it out? So now it feels like they just kind of dumped it. So then I was not excited. But then I watched it and I was like, every bold swing they take actually makes it better, because as a Spidey fan, I was afraid it would be color by numbers, but instead I get to get surprised like everyone else, but the heart of what Spider-Man is still present. So they make a lot of bold swings and big changes, but that's the power of the multiverse. This is doing multiverse in a way that I wanted Multiverse of Madness to, by making big enough swings that it feels like it's worth it. In fact, this feels like what I wanted What If to be. Like, what if Spider-Man had this origin and then you go off into a full journey? I'm really digging it. I'd probably put it in like, I've only seen 2 episodes, but I'd probably put it in like the 92, 93% so far. Those people saw all of it. So it sounds like it gets even better. So I personally like it. But I'm surprised they didn't really celebrate it.
What do you think, Winston?
I mean, I'm always excited about it. I feel like some of the best animated superhero shows that we've seen have been Spider-Man shows. People still talk about spectacular Spider-Man. I was a big fan of Ultimate Spider-Man. The 90s one was super great. So I'm fully here for it. If Coy is saying that it's a really solid entry here, but I just haven't seen it yet. I think the thing that sucks is I remember them being super excited about this when we I want to say all 3 of us were at the What If season 2 screening that we went to, and they teased X-Men 97 and they teased your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, and then it just didn't happen last year. It just completely evaporated. So all of a sudden it feels like their confidence got shook, but based off of everything that I'm hearing, it sounds like it's still as good as they were hyping it up before. So I guess it's just a little disappointing that this is where we are. But
Kristian and I were at D23 2 years ago, and they announced it as Spider-Man freshman year.
Right.
We talked about it at so this show has been percolating forever. And the animation takes a little bit to adjust to, and I get why they chose. It's got like a mix of Pat O'Leary from Untold Tales of Spider-Man mixed with Ditko from OG Amazing, and it takes a little bit, but once you get kind of into the style they're going for, I think it works. But like, I feel like people just didn't connect to the animation from the trailer and bailed, and then they decided to not press more. But it's apparently greenlit for 3 seasons, so it's a really weird thing to just kind of let out. Yeah.
Well, nonetheless, it's got a really high score. I might get to it. I'm not sure.
That's honest.
We'll
I
see.
respect your gangster.
It's just not the one that I'm like itching to watch. It's like, there's other things, especially now because we're so deep into the MCU with Sam. We just released Spider-Man Homecoming today, and what did we do? And then we shot with Thor Ragnarok comes out tomorrow, and then we have Black Panther on Tuesday, which we shot.
I wish I had your team, man. Editing these things are a nightmare.
Oh, they're a nightmare. So this is, but I can tell you that I can tell you Sam's rankings that she released today. Am I on? I think I think you guys can see me here. Well, that's not it. I don't remember which one I did. Oh, it's this one. There it is. You should be able to see this in a second. Hold on. This is Sam's ranking as of right now. They're the ones that we put. She has Civil War at number 1, Winter Soldier at number 2. She has Avengers at number 3, Guardians 4, Iron Man 5, Captain America 6, Thor's number 7, Iron Man 2 at 8, 9 Doctor Strange, 10 Ant-Man, 11 Guardians of the Galaxy 2, 12 Spider-Man Homecoming, 13 Avengers Ultron, 14 Iron Man 3, 15 Thor The Dark World, and the Hulk is in the shitter.
I you know what? I don't hate her rankings. There are some things that I kind of vehemently disagree, but for the most part, like I like her top 5 knowing where she's at right now.
Yeah. She let's see. She has really dove into this thing, and she loves it. So Homecoming for her is that I think it could bounce. She's jumped things up to the list because of she's so invested in the Thor and Loki storyline that's why she loves those movies so much. And Homecoming, she really liked it a lot, but she felt it was because she just remember though, the thing is we all watch these movies 6 months in between, a year in between. She's watching them a day or 2 in between. And so she's coming off of a high like Guardians 2 where it's like boom, 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 boom. And then you're just like, well, ease into Spider-Man a little bit. It's like you be with him in high school. And she's like, it was a little slower, but I liked it. But it's good. So she's pumped. She's going to be an absolute mess with I have the tissues ready to go for Infinity War.
Oh, dude.
It'll be so fresh.
She's going to be a mess for both of them because even Endgame. Like,
Endgame. Endgame's not for because we shoot Infinity War on Monday, and then we'll probably be able to we'll probably wind up shooting both Ant-Man 2 and Captain Marvel next week. I don't know if we'll get to Endgame in the week, so we'll see. But right now, People are really digging it. And then the other movies, listen to some of these movies that she's never seen that we're going to wind up watching. Inception, which is, I can't wait. Dune 1 and Dune 2. All of the Tobey Spider-Man movies, all the Andrew Garfield movies, the Spider-Verse animated movies, all of the X-Men movies, all of Lord of the Rings, all of the Mission Impossible movies, Heat, Man of Steel, Wonder Woman, Interstellar, Inglourious Bastards, The Batman, Kill Bill 1 and 2, The Departed, and Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Those are just some of the ones that we'll be watching together.
Damn.
Yeah.
Again, one, I wish I had your editing team. There's so many movies. Second of all, I almost wonder, but I guess that's what happened with a lot of little kids. A lot of little kid, not to infantilize or anything, but they got Tom was their Spider-Man, because I almost was like, should she have seen Toby and Andrew beforehand? Right. And would that change how she felt about this movie? But it's actually kind of in control.
Yeah, no, I mean, well, look, I remember her journey actually started with Logan and Deadpool 1, 2, and 3. She's seen those first before. So, and the other thing, Coy, so last weekend I shot a reaction with Sadie, and we wound up watching, because she said to me, she's like, I want to watch something before we finally do it. And I said, she brought up the South Park movie. And I said, well, Coy just did that with Real Rejects. I was like, so we can do it eventually, but they just did it. And she goes, what about Team America? And I go, yes. so we did.
Matt Damon.
I will. Have you seen Team?
It's tolerable.
Okay, so I will tell you this, Coy. When I talked to Roka about it, like, I do think that what I realized is, because I watched your and Aaron's reaction to it, I think that it is obviously at the time when that movie came out too, of what was going on. I think that it gets lost because there is so much dick and poop humor too of what was really going on in the world at the time that they did that. And the idea that with Saddam Hussein still being alive, that they're poking the bear at this guy at the time that they were doing and what they were doing. But it was just the idea of like how offended America in general got with like sex, but when it came to like violence, it's like,
I
let
love that
it go.
commentary. I like the concepts in the movie more than the execution, and I respect the film. Like, I think it's a really great thing to exist for people that like it, and I think it's a great thing to exist for the commentary. I just like, it's humor so subjective. So it's not a movie where when someone says they like South Park, I'm not like, we are disagreeing.
Right.
I just go like, not my humor, but like, I'm stoked you have it.
Okay,
so for me, it's a great example of a movie that I can go, oh, I'm stoked that you got to laugh that I didn't. I'm jealous that you connected, but like, hell yeah, it exists.
I was just going to say quick, because the one thing for me that I was thinking about it too, when Kristian brought up like the framing of it, I'm thinking about how old I was when I saw it. Obviously, this is you watching it as an adult, because you had never saw it as a kid, right?
No.
Yeah. So seeing it as a kid at the time, it was the commentary of like kids trying to get into an R-rated movie. So like we are Cartman and Kyle and all of them trying to break into this R-rated movie because our favorite characters are doing this crazy thing. But then you throw everything from like, that was around the time when Eminem came out. So you had Laura Bush pushing back on him and censorship with South Park and Eminem. Right. And then my favorite joke is the one with Chef, because they're about to go to war with Canada. They're like, Operation Get By the time.
Oh yeah.
And maybe the sequel comes out this year because 51st State.
Maybe. I'll tell you the other thing is that anyway. So the point is, we watched Team America, and Coy, she I felt like I was watching the movie with you, because she
like it.
No, she there were a couple times she laughed out loud for sure, but then there were a couple. She goes, this movie is so racist. at one time, and then the other one she's like, this is so juvenile. I go, yes it is. But dude, the puppets when they go, what's the sign? It's the best. It's so stupid. Anyway, so I got to get that one out there. That'll be out there. So we got tons of stuff. Anyway, but we got one more story, and then we're going to get to these questions because we got 38 of them already. Here it is. Let's go DC. Speculation mounts that Hush could be the Batman 2's villain after social post from production design. Hush, man, I was thinking about that. I kept thinking, when's Hush coming in? Who the fuck is Hush? Fans have long waited to see Hush in a live-action Batman project, and following a recent social media post from the Batman's production designer, there's renewed speculation he'll appear in the sequel. Thank God. We're still over 2.5 years from seeing the Batman sequel, maybe, in theaters, and speculation about the movie's villain continues to run rampant. Mr. Freeze remains a fan favorite choice, as does Hush in the comics. Thomas Elliot is one of the Bruce Wayne's childhood friends and a psychopath who tries to murder his parents and inherit their fortune. However, Thomas Wayne saved his mother's life, and decades later, Tommy resentments result in him vowing to destroy Bruce's life. Okay, that's I get it. So, Hush, is this something do you guys think is pretty good? Hush, good villain.
So in the first film, there's a very big tease that Hush is coming because they literally are talking about hush money, and they put on the full screen, they go Hush, and it's like, perhaps.
I forgot about that, bro.
I remember sitting in the theater being like, did they just say, okay, yeah, no. So I feel like either that was the most aggressive mislead or the most aggressive, like, oh my God, I missed that the first time. Like, it's pretty like, Hush. So it could definitely work. Also, I do think it's interesting that Jim Lee is doing Hush 2 in the comics. Literally starting next month, we get Hush 2. I did an interview with Jim Lee over at DC Studio Showcase that dropped last week on that show, and it was literally geeking out about Hush with Jim. And that was so big in the early 2000s that a lot of people got back into comics with Hush, because it's kind of the way I describe it to you, Kristian, is like now that's what I call Batman villains. It's Batman trying to solve a mystery, and he just goes through the hits like he's playing the hits. It's written really well. It's Jim Lee drawing some of the best villains in Batman lore, all leading to a mystery. So I think it'd be a really cool way to establish a lot of villains and do something rad.
The funny thing is, Coy, is it's not just now that's what I call hits. It's that Hush is manipulating all of them.
Yeah.
So that he keeps being like, well, damn, if it's not Penguin, maybe it was Two-Face. Well, crap, that person was poison. Is it Poison Ivy? And he just he can't figure it out because Hush is like 2-3 steps ahead of him. I love Hush as a storyline. I thought it was done in the animated movie that they did of it. So I would be very interested to see what Reeves wants to do with the live action version of it. So
yeah, I don't know how they're going to do it or in general, but look, if the villains work, the villains work. So we'll see what happens. Okay, it is time for the questions. We got to see if the Capes and Cowls guys can do it again and defeat Roxy at 110. But before we do, real quick, Coy, where can they find you? What you got going on in the channel?
You can hunt me down at Coy Jandro here on YouTube. I'm covering all the Spider-Man stuff. So if you want to see my thoughts on those first 2 episodes, I posted that the day it dropped. So that is over there. I'm going to be covering every episode going forward. Also, the big movies coming out starting in February. We really go through the rest of the year. So the big movie reviews, big TV stuff, and I read 50 to 70 comics a week and give you my favorite 9 along with the comic news. So if you want to check out any of that, it is literally 4 or 5 videos a week, plus all my stuff at Real Rejects. And Greg and I launched a new show today over at Real Rejects, and it actually aired as this one was airing. So let us finish here first and then go check it out over there. Yeah. I didn't have control over that.
Yeah, tell Greg to stop posting. Greg keeps doing that. He's posting at the same time we go live. Stop it, Greg.
Are you a clone? How do you
do
that much stuff?
I did 7 shows yesterday. I did Fantastic Frankie's show yesterday. I shot 3 shows at Rejects. I did pickups for DC. Also, guys, how crazy is this?
Let me see. Turn around. Oh, yeah. Nice.
I'm the back of DC Comics.
That's pretty great. That's amazing. That's really good.
So, like, childhood dream, you guys. This is so insane. So, if you guys check out any of these, if you get any with this back, like, hashtag me, like, Coy Comic, and I will share the video. I want to see pictures of people with
really
these. This
awesome.
makes me so happy.
That's really awesome. Yeah. Yeah. Autograph it next time.
Yeah. Like, I have something to sign at cons now instead of lanyards. People always want me to sign stuff, and I'm like, your face.
Yeah, there you go.
Now I have a thing.
Sign a baby.
Winston, what about you? Let's get these questions too. What do you got?
Yeah, you can find me over at the Swaggy Blurred on all platforms, especially here on YouTube. I am figuring out the hard way about editing reaction videos while
I told you
back up to move. Yeah, no, it's a whole thing. It is a whole. Like my lady got a little mad at me last night. She was like, "All right, so you coming to bed anytime soon?" I'm like, "I hope." And I slept on the couch because I was up so late editing. So. But come check it out, man. I did a Blurred breakdown on Monday. I'm going to do one this evening since I couldn't do one on Wednesday. And then the Sonic reaction is coming out. And once I finish editing that, I'm going to move on to the Captain America First Avenger. We're going to get those done before the film comes out in a couple weeks. So definitely come say what's up.
All right, so let's do it, guys. We're going to start with the first question here. Miguel Zane coming in hot. If these X-Men rumors come out to be true, I like that they're young. pause, no drizzy. Sinister being the villain, could great versus younger character.
I didn't even get the rest of the question.
I got it. Sinister being the villain would be great versus younger characters. Yeah, I mean, you guys kept. I think that. Well, no, you were talking about Sinister. You were talking about Sinister, right? For a while. Yeah, you were.
Ryan Gosling would be a great Sinister, personally.
Not anymore. He's too tied up in Star Wars now.
Apparently, that is what it is. But yeah, no, I think Sinister would be. They should focus on Sinister, because every time we've done this, it has always been Magneto and then Dark Phoenix, and we don't need to see Apocalypse again for a while. I need to make sure that they know what they're doing with that. So I think Sinister would be absolutely great to do. And yeah, against a younger like X-Men team, especially knowing that like Gambit was scared of his powers getting out of control, so he went to Sinister to like kind of neuter him, essentially. The idea that he's already manipulating these young mutants and then Charles is having to like undo the damage, I think would be great.
Coy, you got any follow-up to that?
Yeah, just briefly, they've led up to Sinister so many times, and I've talked about this before. In Spider-Man, it always felt like the one villain they moved, they kind of put to the future. Like John Malkovich almost played the Vulture, and then Spider-Man 4 didn't happen. The first villain, Tom Holland, was Vulture. They set up Mr. Sinister in New Mutants and a bunch of other stuff. Maybe I do feel like once they have an idea and a concept for a villain, it does eventually get executed. It'd be cool to see a character that's been set up so well. And I think Miguel's right. Drake for Sinister, Underage Mutants.
All right, next one here, and this is GoPal. Some early support in case I can't make it live. Thank you, GoPal. Amazing. Next one. GoPal also says, is the Ghost Who Walks owned by one of the big guys? I don't know that one. I was a big fan of the Defenders of the Earth cartoon, but we only had the Billy Zane movie since. Do you know anything about that, Coy?
It's like a way back in the day Golden Age character, like when, the Shadow and like that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I assume because of how many big, buying of companies, the comics were huge in like the 60s, and then they kind of dipped. Then the 80s, they kind of dipped, and then the 90s. So a lot of times big companies acquired smaller comic companies. I don't know where he is now, but that'd be cool to see.
Okay. Ewok, not sure when X-Men is filming, but Harris Dickinson is going to be busy for a while playing John Lennon in Sam Mendes' 4 separate Beatles films. I'm more inclined to believe that Jack Champion rumor. I mean, just after that last report, you might be right, because there was said it doesn't look like he's up for it after all. But you never know. It could be they could decide they want to go back and find a way to do it, because we don't even know when it's shooting. So I think the Jack Champion thing could be interesting, and you just get an idea. I think it's less about right now out of these. I don't think we're farther enough along to say, well, who's going to get it out of the 2 or 3 of them. It's more like, oh, that's the direction they're going in.
And I think it's going to be like when we started talking about Superman, what 10 actors are hot right now in the age, not these guys are in. It's, what are they? Yeah, what you're saying.
And it lets you know who they're going for. Yeah, and it lets you know exactly, okay, so now that's the age range that they're going at. And I think that'll start to dictate, oh, well, then they're probably going to go this age for, I tell you, I was going to say Brendan Sklenar for Wolverine, but I think he's like 6 feet or 5'10". I don't know what range they're going at for Wolverine. Ewok, that said, Joseph Quinn is playing George Harrison. He's somehow managing to do Fantastic Four in 2 upcoming Avengers films and Gladiator. So what do I know? You never know. It depends on if somebody wants to do it well enough. I mean, I always look at the Michael J. Fox element of it. When people don't realize what he did for. Are you guys familiar with what he did for Back to the Future? So he was working. So the reason why he didn't they wanted him for Back to the Future originally, but he couldn't do it because of family ties. So then Eric Stoltz got it, and they started shooting with Eric Stoltz, and they went, it's just not working. It wasn't anything. It's just like, it's a different movie. We really need Michael. So they went to go get Michael, and they made a deal. And basically what happened is Michael would shoot Family Ties, and then he would leave from there, and he would go shoot Back to the Future, and then he would leave, and then he would go shoot Family Ties. I don't think he didn't sleep. He just shot. So if you want something bad enough, you'll make it happen.
You also, the other thing about it too, prime a career. Like if he wants it, this is the time when you have the energy to do that. Versus, Michael Caine at this point shoots like 1 movie every 2 to 3 years, because Michael Caine is very old and he's tired and he doesn't want to shoot anything anymore. Like, same with the late Judi Dench. So like,
late, she's not dead.
No. Who just? Oh my God! Which British actress just died?
Judi Dench.
Not Judi Dench.
Not Judi Dench.
I thought it was Judy. It wasn't.
Nope.
Okay, never mind.
Reports of her death have been greatly exaggerated. Judi Dench is okay.
She's all right. She's healthier than me. I'll tell you that. Let's see. Next one is from GoPal. Oh, we did that one. Mike Joyce. Just finished your Real Rejects interview, Coy. Such a great conversation. I was surprised to see the comments. I don't know who could watch that and have a negative opinion of you. Well, then I would say this, Mike. You've never spent time on the internet.
It's an interview about the importance of positivity. You know what that brings out? Negative people. I really love that interview. I'm really proud of it. A couple clips went like viral, as the kids say. But overall, I'm trying to be more myself on these internets because I'm not on Twitter as much. Oh, yes. But I think it's really important. I think the internet has made us all kind of like facades of people. So I'm trying to be more me on this show, on every show. And I think it's working. And I'm feeling more me and less at Coy and more Coy, and not being on Twitter helps.
Darian Harmon. Hey. You think you guys can keep it down? I'm trying to watch Sam's reaction to Spider-Man Homecoming. Peace. Understood. Yeah, she's become already a big star on the channel, which is great. She's hilarious. So, and she's so excited I cannot wait for her to watch Infinity War. Can't wait. I am Jax 12. Kristian discussed this yesterday, but thoughts on if X-Men reworking Magneto's backstory to keep up with the times. Well, this was the point. It was an excellent question. If they're going to do it in modern times, right, it really wouldn't line up to World War II. No. So how do you do that? Do you try to keep it to World War II and do it a variant, or do you what do you do?
I think it depends on how you see Elon Musk's hand signals. It's kind of relevant. Like I was make it today.
I was gonna go along the lines of you can make an argument that because he controls, magnetic poles and all that maybe he's able to age slower or something. You could maybe do something along those lines to try, and because I don't know if you have another thing that wouldn't necessarily fundamentally change who his character is. The other thing you could do, at least if not for the comics, but for the movies, I mean, we're already saying it looks like the Fantastic Four coming from a different dimension that's kind of in the 60s. You just do the same thing for Magneto. Just
what do you think, Coy?
I think, and I've said that flippantly, but I think that people are always oppressed, and I think that people are always in areas of persecution, and it's just framing that in a way that's fair and tasteful to the oppressed, not the oppressor. So I think as long as the story is framed in a way that isn't alienating to Kristian, and I talk a lot about, and on camera and off camera, like the importance of making sure movies are for people, like people's, and I don't think alienating people that feel oppressed on either side of political tickets is going to make a movie enough money. But I also think that you need to be fair to the subject matter of the people that feel like they've been justifiably persecuted. So I think it is a movie that is forever relevant, no matter when you make the characters, because there is always someone unfortunately oppressing a people. So it's just how to handle that. And I do think it's just as important to address it in 2025 as 1925. Well
said. Casual scroll. Emma Myers as Spider-Gwen. Besides her role on Wednesday, I feel like she hasn't had any breakout roles. No, she's really good. I could see her. I mean, the question is, I don't know if she'd be able to do, well, I don't know, maybe she'd do the action behind it. I'm not sure, but she's got the look for sure. Do you guys watch Wednesday?
I didn't watch Wednesday.
Oh, okay.
But I know that it's the second most watched show in all of Netflix. So
she was really good in it. Yeah, she was really good in it.
Okay.
I've heard that she's great, so I'm always down for like what the people are saying.
Right. All right. Mike Revel, you guys rock. Thanks, Mike. How come no one ever talks about how you can de-age old Cap with the machine in Endgame that pushed time through Scott instead of Scott through time, even if destroyed, can be rebuilt? You remember that machine that they built at the end there? They could rebuild that thing.
That is, Mike, I have never thought of that. You literally in canon gave yourself a forever cast machine.
Yeah, you could finally.
Yeah,
you could do that if you wanted to.
Future Easter egg, Mike. Nicely done.
I know. Andrew Carnes. If Nolan made a beloved Star Wars movie, he'd be the GOAT. I mean, he already is close to being the GOAT. I don't think he needs to make a Star Wars movie, but if there was someone who made it, and came in and said, "Hey, all right, look, I'm not even part of your world. Give me 2.5 hours to make, or I'll give you a 2.5 hour movie, Star Wars. I'm gonna shut up and do something like that."
Bro, you would end up. I was just gonna say you would end up with Obi-Wan, but it plays like Andor. That
Yeah.
movie would be fire.
Oh,
I would
yeah,
be here
yeah,
for it.
exactly. I know what you're saying. Like if the series didn't play like a Benny Hill show, yeah. I'm Jack's 12. I miss John Constantine stuff. I would love to see him and his story is at the center of some DC cinematic escapades. Thoughts and where it could go. What do you guys think?
Constantine's one of my favorite characters. Comics, man. There's so many great Constantine comics. One of my favorite comics on the shelves right now is John Constantine Hellblazer Dead in America. It reads like Hunter S. Thompson writes a comic. It's Americana myth. It's folklore, but it's also like the occult and it's dope. So I know he's not as prevalent in the translated stuff, but the original scripts. Read some comics. There's some great Constantine.
The comics are great, man. They actually did a really good job with him with the CW. So somehow the one character that has been across all mediums done exceptionally well is John Constantine. Justice League Dark, that animated movie was great, as well as the Justice League Dark Apocalypse that kind of wrapped up that universe. Constantine is stellar. So all of those.
Tupery dupery. Nice. Which X-Men do y'all think the MCU should start off with? The OG team would be Fresh Cyclops, Jean, Beast, Iceman, and Angel. Keep it small, contained. I'll tell you what. It would be very interesting and ballsy to do the first X-Men movie in the way that they did the comic with no Wolverine. Rely on your X-Men. Let them cook, as the kids say, and do their thing. And don't bring in Wolverine. Put him in a post-credit scene. And then have him in the second one. Give him his own thing to do. See if you can do it. And don't let it rely on Wolverine.
No Wolverine in the first, but I would do OG team, add some fan favorites. So I'd do a little bit bigger than 5. I'd go OG plus Storm, Nightcrawler, Colossus, or something like that. Like, I think Storm is integral to a core, and then a couple more that are like, oh, I'm excited to see them, just so you get that energy and scope. But I would keep Wolverine out for a bit.
I mean, I would also keep Wolverine out. I think the other thing that we didn't talk about is that there was also talks about them casting Gambit, casting Kitty. Like, there's a lot of other characters they've already kind of talked about potentially putting in the future of the X-Men. So I almost wonder, I don't need it to be like, Grandpappy sitting on the porch being like, let me tell you the story of the first X-Men. But like, it almost, if we're going to do something like that, it almost feels like, okay, maybe the class is the Kitty and Gambit and them are not doing well. Here's what happened. I don't know.
Right. I know what you're saying. Zeus Fleming. I'm still thinking it'll be Taron Egerton as the best Wolverine. Hugh said he'd be perfect. Way better way back when they made Eddie the Eagle. Underrated movie, Eddie the Eagle, by the way. Very underrated. So Taron Egerton would still be great. He'd still now. I think he fits more inside of that what you're talking about, Winston, with the age thing, because he's, let's say again, using the Sadie Sink. She's 22. He's 35. Okay. I mean, that to me, that's Wolverine. Looks a little older. He's been around for a little bit. He carries a little bit more of that maturity. Taron Egerton's a great actor. I'd love to see Taron Egerton as Wolverine. I think he'd be perfect.
Right height as well. Again, love me some Hugh, but like now you're getting back to have like he's a little bit of a shouty. So
no, he's not. He's
I thought he was like Taron's like my height. He's
no. What are you, Coy?
5'9". I think he's like 5'8".
He's
5'9". Yeah. All right. 5'9".
But also he could play him for 10 years. I mean, if he plays him like Hugh, he could play him for 20.
True.
But I like the getting the cast a little older than the core team to show that weathered, but also a longevity to play him.
Okay. Well, there you go. So yeah, I think we're all in agreement. I think Taron would be pretty damn good. Zeus Fleming, Chalamet as Gambit. Thoughts? I don't want to. Look. Here's the thing with Chalamet. First of all, everybody wants to just put him in everything because he's like the number one guy right now. He's like the number one guy. And after seeing Bob Dylan, I'll be honest with you. He was in Willy Wonka already. He's got a franchise. He was in Dune. He's in a franchise. Let him do other. I think this kid's got a lot more to give us than just big budget action movies and stuff too. I just do, and that's not saying a slight on anybody else. I just want to see him do other things because I think he's a next generation kind of talent.
To me, he's more, if we're sticking to comics, he's more Nightcrawler or Robin than he is a Gambit type wise. But I'm also with Kristian that I enjoy that dude's whole ness. Yeah. I'll see something for it being a Chalamet joint, and we don't like always need every actor to be that in a comic thing because the comic characters are the stars.
Yeah, I don't really want to see him in a comic book movie.
What if he got jacked and became Red Hood? Because we saw his angst as Paul kind of at the end of Dune 2. What if you took that angst? Hey, bro, get rock big. Go play the Red
But
Hood.
start small as Robin, and then the sequel,
Yeah.
rock up.
He is so good in Dune, man. I am Jax 12. Do you ever think we will ever see? Do you think we will ever see any on screen, big or small content from smaller publishers like Image, Lazarus by Rucka, and Lark would be awesome. If you do, you're probably going to see it in like Netflix or Amazon Prime or something along those lines.
If I had to guess, maybe Invincible, and out of our old friends over at Skybound, like
You see if they're going to do it live action, you're saying?
potentially,
Seth Rogen
like
owns the rights.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be a good way to go, especially if the film wraps up the way, or if the show wraps up ultimately how they wanted to. I could see them trying to do that.
Yeah.
Criminal has been on the docket forever, and they just announced Criminal starring what's his name from all the Guy Ritchie films.
James. What's his name?
He's got like that pretty face. He's blonde. Charlie Hunnam. Charlie Hunnam's doing an Image comic, and Skybound is Image. So there is.
Well, you remember, and there were a couple of series that Boom Studios was talking about too,
Yeah,
and even
they got Something Is Killing the Show.
Yeah, and Keanu Reeves has his
Berserker movie.
Oh, Berserker,
yes. So there's some stuff. Ace-hole. Hello, Ace-hole. I found the word oversee interesting. Could Marvel be looking at the Russo's X-Men situation as a trial run to see if the Russos can be the next Feige? I don't know. I don't know if they want to do that.
Probably not.
Probably not.
But I could see, because I don't think Feige's ready to go anywhere, especially because he's talked about how excited he is for the X-Men. But I could see a world where he takes a little off his plate and they become the Saffrons. If not, they actually become the guns, and Feige becomes more the Saffron type situation where now you can delegate some of the stuff and keep your eye on the prize in general. I could see that
maybe something along those lines.
I see Oversee just as like the group that looks at the tapestry like we used to have, like the guns, for example. Like to me, it's just we're putting together a team. Like I think they're just putting that back together.
It's just a plan. It's really what it is. We have a plan of what we want to do, and these are the guys running the plan. All right, currently at 48, you guys need like 60 plus. All right, here is 62 to tie. Do you think these Evans reports and Cumberbatch flip-flopping is intentional to confuse everyone to avoid spoilers? Potentially, but I also think that the difference, because we didn't really talk about it on today's show, but Cumberbatch the other day said, no, I'm not in that one, I'm in the other one. And then he said, oh, I'm just kidding, I am in that one, I misspoke. I think it's because you get to a point where you're like, am I supposed to say I'm in that? I don't know. And they're like, we're going to market you with it. But we don't want Evans to say anything because it's a surprise. So
I think it also might be like Gwyneth Paltrow. She doesn't know what movie she's in because she's doing like she didn't know she was in Spiderman. I think Cumberbatch might get 5 scripts and be like, "What's the name of the thing?" Like, and it's not apathy. I don't think it's a lack of caring. No, I think he just heard a name and was like, "Ah."
And they probably have working titles so that they're secrets you don't even know anyway, unless it is your movie. Right. You know what I'm saying? They're just like, oh yeah, and then you're gonna shoot the scene and it's gonna show up in Nova in the what? Like you just
And I don't think I'm not to be speaking ill. It's just like if you're asked 100 times like Doomsday, you're like, I don't think I'm in that one. Like I get it, it happens.
Right. Harry Levinson was just putting in donation. Thank you. Fallen District. Cheer Looney Tune. I don't know what that means.
Looney Tune.
Okay, there you go. Brady BK. The recent Joe Rogan podcast with whistleblowers was amazing. The story about his encounter with the tall alien was so scary it got me, dude. Yeah, he was. So you're talking about Sands, and Sands was also in the James Fox documentary. He came out a little not too long ago, and he was on Twitter Spaces and other things. There's more and more people that are giving more credibility to his stories, and he's starting to get backed by high-profile people. So it doesn't surprise me that he was on Rogan's thing. The other thing that I really highly recommend people watch right now is you just go on Twitter to find it. You can go and it's this Skywatchers series. It also has the new whistleblower Jake Barber on there, and it's the most compelling stuff that I've seen so far since I've been covering this stuff. Dan D. Whoever is cast, they need to write Cyclops on par with X-Men 97 facts and the comics from the last 20 years. Don't pull a Fox with Marsden and sideline him. I couldn't agree more.
He cannot be again. Like it took us this long to fix him. It's got to stay like top tier.
Yeah, and that was the one thing that like Bo DeMeo definitely talks too much on Twitter. And he's gotten himself into you can't hire that guy. But like, I am so bummed because he was supposed to be part of the X-Men, reboot, and he was going to write stories. It would have been great to have him. He gets it. Like, he gets it. It's like Kalinowski. You slap their hands. Get off of Twitter. Stop that. I am Jax 12. A ton of Red Hulk in the advertisements. If he's hardly in it, that's the rumor. Will that cause an issue? Not just for Hulk, but the next MCU movie. I hate when they do that. I hate when they're just promoting it with the Red Hulk. He's going to be in it for like 2 seconds. It's going to be one scene, but they're promoting it because, we have a Hulk in the movie. Go see it. It's Harrison Ford as the Hulk. Don't you want to see this? That will be sad if that's the case.
I really hope that they're not pulling the wool over our eyes, but there is a small part of me that feels, especially knowing the footage that they're showing is all the same setting. We're not seeing Red Hulk in different places. He's at the podium, and then he's surrounded by the cherry blossoms, and they're kind of fighting in that street. It is all from the same location. So I am a little nervous about that, to be honest.
Coy?
I feel like it's our third act, and I feel like we've seen, not only have we only seen a little, but we've seen too much, and it's of a climax. Like, I'm really worried about where that is and how short it is.
Coy, this is off subject. I feel like you're a big Severance guy. If not, you should be watching it.
Okay, you're watching it now.
Who?
Oh,
You.
I watched it season 1.
Yeah,
No, I meant Kristian.
Me? Severance.
Yeah.
I've been watching Severance for years.
I thought it was Roxy trying to convince you, and you.
That was this is to show you how time blends together. That was 2 years ago, my friend.
Oh my God, time.
Yeah.
When it started. Yeah, no, I'm a huge.
Yeah,
Severance
that
guy.
was when it started. It was on, and it had been on for like 6-7 months, and then she kept telling me to watch it, and I finally did. But no, I watched the whole first season, and I know I watched it because it was like I felt like everyone else did when season 2 came out, to where I'm like, oh my God, I forget what the hell happened.
I'm
Yeah.
rewatching season 1, and it's great.
Yeah. Good guys, we're lucky. The Pout Law is here. Look, folks, if my butt could talk, it would spit when it spoke, and if your groins could listen, I'd let my butt read it a book. Well, thank you, Pout Law. Always coming in with the with the sound poetry.
I thought that
Chris,
was actually Roka for
No, the Pout. He comes in when Roka's on the show. He did join on one with Roka, but he only threw in one casual one. It was and then left. And I don't think he wanted Roka to yell at him, so he left. Chris Greay, well, considering what was said and who's being blamed for the DC crash, I totally understand Mackie's comments, and I agree. I'm ashamed to be an American right now. I mean, look, there's a lot to it, and that's a heavier conversation. Well, first of all, Chris, I really appreciate the overall super chat. There's a heavier conversation and all of that. I think that there's a lot of things in general that you can understand with the statement itself, right? I think there's a lot of things that you can also take umbrance with the statement itself. My biggest problem with the statement itself is the time and place for the statement. That's for me, because for me, it's like, if I'm trying, I always look at, you guys know me, I'm always looking at things on a business side of things. I'm always looking at things, we're trying to promote a movie. And it's like, this is a conversation you could hear behind the scenes of somebody saying, hey, Anthony, I agree with everything you're saying, but we're trying to sell tickets to this thing too. And when you say that and we lose tickets on it, we're in trouble. And that's why they had him apologize. That conversation happened. I guarantee that conversation happened. But I get it. We're in a different time period right now. Keon Jenkins, should the averages treat the comes in mostly Charles Xavier as the next
The Avengers treat the
the Avengers. This is the averages. Should the Avengers treat the comes in mostly Charles Xavier as the next Nick Fury, introducing him in the end credits and a nucleus moving forward? I think that you should get Xavier should be there right from the get.
He assembles the X-Men, so I see what he's saying about, like, maybe as the team gets bigger, like you have the core X-Men and then his post-credit and he's like recruiting. I think that would be a novelty like once, but I don't think you should try to recapture the magic of phase 1.
Yeah, I agree. And I think if you're going to do that, what you might end up doing, and maybe we just haven't heard about the casting, you might end up seeing like maybe Charles at the end of Doomsday in a post-credit going into Secret Wars or something. Like I could see something like that. I don't know. We'll see.
Okay. This is the next one. G. Colby PYB. I saw Greg ask Coy this in his interview, but what are some movies that if your significant other said they didn't like, it will break your heart? Well, that doesn't work for me because the answer is everything that I like.
So far, the only movie that's been the case, my girl didn't like the original Star Wars movie, didn't like A New Hope.
Okay.
She liked Force Awakens. I think it was an older movie, not necessarily the genre that she's into in general. So she just was kind of like, okay, I mean, I get why people like it. It's just not for me.
Yeah.
I said the same thing about the Goonies because I saw it as a grown-ass adult and not in the 80s or 90s, versus if I had just seen it as a kid now, or if I had seen it when it was a big deal back then. So it happens. It made me sad, but it's not the end of the world.
All right. Let's see. Hi, me.
I was talking about in early in relationships, like what would be the thing? You're like, will this keep going? And it was A Knight's Tale. Like that's a worry.
No, I knew that one. That was gonna. I couldn't. If I put that, I would never even stay with my wife if that was a metric. Alexander Wilson. Wall Street Journal just dropped that the estate of Joseph Schuster, co-creator of Superman, is suing Warner Brothers and DC, which may stop Superman from international market. Thoughts? I assume that Alexander put that in there before we covered it on the show. But again, it just needs to be handled. It needs to be handled. Harry Levinson. Hey, everyone. I love the show. Thank you, Harry. Just wanted to say that people are having to pick at the look of a face in a scene where a man is flying. That CGI must be pretty decent. Yeah, I don't understand why everyone really went nuts on that whole thing. And I think it's look, if the scene itself, when you're in the theater, looks like that, and the way that, like, when the mustache thing happened, that when he took out the mustache and it's so jarring that it takes you out, I think you have a right to say, I didn't like the way that scene looked. But you're on, it's TV, it's this, it's like, is that going to ruin the movie? I highly doubt it. Coy, I can't even imagine that you had to deal with this nonsense for the last 2 weeks.
The scope of this,
I'm sure.
One, the movie's out in 6 months. 2, it is a wide angle lens as the rest of the trailer is. So if you look at most of the shots in the trailer, there's this big scope to it, which I personally like. And I think it shows a choice to make something that looks different. Like even the punching shot is on this lens that anamorphic. Actually, we just talked about Severance. The shot in Severance where he's going down the elevator and you see how it changes the distortion on his face. When you're up close to certain style anamorphic lenses, it changes things. So the fact that it's a practically shot scene, not CGI, and there's a lens that distorts his face slightly, that is a movie that's coming out in 6 months that they're going to modify perhaps. It's an insane thing to pause and go, I'm mad at 5 seconds of a movie that's 2 hours long that's out in 6 months. If we had done this in the 80s, 90s, and 2000s, 2010s, we would not have classics. We would not have things we enjoy. If you look at like the all-time great movies, if you pause like Indiana Jones when he's about to fight, you're like, that's clearly a stunt man. Screw you. Like, live your life, have some joy. So this whole thing is it's so
silly.
What if we liked things? What if?
Yeah. Josh Needle, like you, I bailed on Skeleton Crew after the first 2, but I came back to it recently and I loved it. Sits next to Andor as the only great Star Wars show, in my opinion. I hope you give it a chance one day. Who knows? Maybe. I have just a lot of other things that I care to see. I just have not. I've been sitting on my couch a couple of times going, okay, what am I going to watch today? 10 different things came into my head. None of them was Skeleton Crew. Keon Jenkins. Should Marvel treat the X-Men and, more importantly, Charles Xavier as the next Fury? At first, with the end credits telepathically talking while wheeling into scenes and using him as nucleus. Well, we just kind of talked about in that previous question, but I think that no, I think that he should be there from the start.
Was that maybe a cleaned up version?
Maybe
of the previous super chat.
But I do like the idea of post-credit scene grabbing X. Like what Kristian's saying, like start with them, but also growing the team. Fun idea.
Let's see. Next one here, and that one is from Hitty Hoop. Hey Hitty, what's going on? I have started rewatching all the Defender shows and Echo, She-Hulk, Ms. Marvel. God bless you. Leading up to Born Again, what Marvel street level character do you hope gets a show or shows up in Born Again season 2? Well, I'd like to see Luke Cage show up for sure. That would be a good one. And Jessica Jones also. I never watched Defender show though. I didn't love Echo. Really didn't like She-Hulk, and Miss Marvel I thought was pretty charming.
Luke Cage is my answer. I really enjoyed that show. I liked the second season. I know people took umbrage with it, but I thought both seasons were great. I would love to see an Iron Fist that I actually enjoy. I really did not enjoy Iron Fist on Netflix there. So yeah, Coy?
I know we're getting Punisher. He would have been my pick, but my pick is going to be a little deeper cut because of how cool it was to see the universe connect via Turk. I want Turk in there. Because he actually ended up in the comics after the show. And that, remember like how exciting it was to have a character in all of them that led to Defenders? I think it'd be kind of a cool nod to the Netflix to have Turk in it.
Colby BYP. Music question. What are some albums you guys consider a 10 out of 10? I'd say the first Doors album. For me, Green Day's American Idiot, MCR's, and Liquid Swords is another one. Kendrick Lamar's TBAP, Radiohead's and Rainbow, System of a Down, Success. That's all good ones.
I would actually go Kendrick's Good Kid, Mad City over To Pimp a Butterfly, in my opinion. That's definitely up there. Coy, what do you got? I'm going to try and come up with one or two others.
Matrix soundtrack. I think it's perfect. I'm going to say The Games and Documentary is one of the most slept on West Coast rap albums of all time. Most of my albums are in storage from the fire, but I also think Nevermind is properly rated. I think people think it's overrated. I think it's just perfect.
Yeah.
He went crazy, but My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy is one of the greatest albums I have ever heard from start to finish, no skips. Like
White Zombies, Astro Creep 2000, All Eyes on Me from Tupac, Prodigy's Fat of the Land, Linkin Park's Hybrid Theory.
AT Aliens.
Battle of Los Angeles from Rage Against the Machine.
That's a good one too. Okay, let's see. So the next one here, sorry as we're getting to it, is I Am Jax 12. Budgets are crazy. Too much pressure on the filmmakers. There's a tug of war between the story and box office return. Our favorite IPs seem to be losing the battle. Couldn't agree more. It's like they throw all this money into it and they just forget about making a good story. And I never understood about like if you could make a movie for, you know, like again, a Marvel or a Star Wars movie for like $100 million instead of like $200 million or $80 million, and then market it with the same marketing budget. Like, it doesn't that up your chances? Like, look, again, I use the last King Kong versus Godzilla movie. That movie cost $110 million to make. It made a big, huge profit in general. It had good actors in it, but Rebecca Hall, Dan Stevens, really good actors who don't cost them a lot of money, and you made a big profit because of it.
I would. It's a larger conversation, but it's something that we have noticed just about industries in general. There is a lot of push towards greed across the board. It's seeing the dollar signs of, look, we've made $1 billion off movies before, and how did that happen? Yeah, it was a $250 million in Avengers Endgame. So make a $250 million Indiana Jones. I don't know.
Right.
I wish that we would look at where we were in a heyday and things naturally made profit versus trying to force profit.
I think it's character by character, and I think smaller budgets should happen more often.
Me too.
We got to look at that.
Right. Like, there's no world like the Avengers movies should be $100 million.
Right, exactly. Right. There are exceptions, but overall, I think shifting that way.
There's no world where Acolyte should be 230. Just saying.
There's no world that Indiana Jones should be 300. I'm sorry.
No way. No way. That was a complete. People should be losing their jobs on that. G. Colby BYP. Foo Fighters, Color and the Shape, Nas's Manic Blink 182's 2003 Untitled, Queen of the Stone Age, Songs for the Deaf,
Meteora, I was going to say that,
and also Tens going off the last. That's great. So that's great choices. Armada, genius play ideas. Jeff Snyder starring in a play adaptation of The Wrestler with Gary Busey as Marissa Tomei's role. That's the stuff of nightmares. I Am Jax 12. Are the budgets not allowing filmmakers to make stretch? 100%. They can't take these. They can't. So, you know, unless you're like a ballsy filmmaker who, you know, like a Nolan or somebody else too, who I don't care. Guy, you gave me what you gave me. I'm gonna do my thing. If not, if you're somebody who's trying to up your career by doing a $200 million movie and you have the chance to do it, you don't have a lot of wiggle room, really.
I think it's what happened to Nia DaCosta, because I love her other work, and the Marvels just wasn't my thing, but it felt like a studio movie. It didn't feel like a director made it. So I'd love to see an $80 million Nia DaCosta movie in the Marvel Universe to like. There's
a few movies I'm dreading doing a rewatch of. That is one of them.
Yeah.
It's so sad.
Coy, you kind of nailed it. It's movies now are being treated as numbers and not art.
Yeah.
That is the problem.
You know what? It's funny.
But when they are art, then they get scrutinized by pausing a 5 second.
It's true. You know what I'm going to do is Speaking of that, though, there's you both can guess what the one is that I don't even want to show up to.
Love and Thunder.
Yeah, I don't even want to. I've been trying to do. I've been doing a poker face with Sam. For a lot of it, I don't show her like if I liked it or if I didn't like it. I don't know how I'm going to do it with that movie. I don't know how I'm going to do it for the entire movie. Like I'm going to be trying to slam my head against the.
When she's not looking, you put earbuds inside the thing, and you're like, your favorite album.
To something else. I know.
Just start laughing.
I know, but it's like it's so.
He's not reacting. We're watching Kristian. No. It's actually like a paused screen.
I'm just because the thing is like when I'm watching it for the first time, I can say, "Oh my god, this is terrible," But like if I'm not, I'm like, I don't want her to. She might like it. And if she likes it, I don't want her to like me to influence it.
She's on a Thor kick.
She's on a Thor kick. But I will say this, and I'm not going to tell you her whole opinion in the movie, but like the first 10 minutes of Ragnarok, she looked at me. She goes, "This one's pretty jokey, huh?" Is what she said. So, and that's for Ragnarok. That's like mild. That's mild compared to that piss charade. D&D. What X-Men do you think needs some shine in the MCU that Fox neglected? My list would be Cyclops, Kitty Pryde. I would say Nightcrawler for me, and Magic. Yeah, they did a great Nightcrawler scene in X2, but then he just kind of fell to the wayside.
Kitty for sure, Nightcrawler for sure, Magic absolutely. I hate that Magic got swept up in New Mutants and just really didn't get a chance to shine there. Honestly, Jubilee. That like she became my anchor via the 90s animated series, and I'm glad she got some shine in 97. So I would love for Jubilee to get some time to shine now.
Kitty Pryde. I think Cyclops is just the most misunderstood of the X-Men because of the Fox movies.
Yeah.
Storm, obviously, because she wasn't given the time she deserved. Alex Chip started to, but even that was just chipping away at fixing. I'd say like Forge is a character they didn't even touch on that deserves some love. Bishop didn't get the love he deserved.
Oh yeah.
And Gambit definitely didn't.
Gambit.
So a lot of them.
I'm curious how Gambit's going to do. Joey Pedros, are there any? I just met Joey, by the way. Joey came into our first. We did a for our memberships, and we do 2 exclusive kind of live streams, and we do Q&As. And Joey came in, I think the Q&A, and asked a question for the Q&A. It was great. It was nice to meet him. Are there any good ventriloquist Scarface stories in comics outside of the Batman animated series?
2 weeks ago, there was a DC horror showcase comic that is an incredible Scarface story. It was really great, and it's a horror story, so it feels like you're reading like a Stephen King about ventriloquists. It's really special. Overall, I don't love the character in the comics as much as the animated series, but that's literally on the shelves now. You can check out.
Cool.
Josh Needle. Would the 3 of you ever do an episode giving your MCU movie rankings? Could make for some good discussion, which each year is number 1. So I think we could actually do that. And what I would ask the guys is that once, because Sam and I will probably, I don't know, we're not going to be able to finish the MCU before Captain America comes out. But we'll probably definitely do it before Thunderbolts. So I would say maybe around that time when we do, and because I'm going to make my list for sure. I can bring my list up. And what would be great is actually if we did, maybe I even bring in, if she's available, bring in Sam for that episode to have the 4 of us kind of talk about it. And then we can do the 4 rankings together. My number one is Endgame.
Winter Soldier or No Way Home, depending on my mood.
Either Infinity War, Endgame, or Winter Soldier, somewhere in there.
Yeah, Winter Soldier is probably
a Russo brothers film.
I know.
A Russo brothers film.
A Russo brothers. Stuart Blackie. Hello, my partner and I did a double feature of Batman and The Dark Knight. Bale's my Batman and Keaton's hers. Who's your Batman? Love the show. Bale's mine. Love Keaton, but Bale's mine.
Kevin Conroy.
Oh, nice.
I still think of Bale as Batman. I think Pattinson is the only one that might take it over, depending on what happens. But Bale's my Batman now.
It's Trey Davis. If Spidey was a villain, who would his Marvel hero? Oh, so if he was if
he was a villain, who would be his Marvel hero that he foils?
Iron Man.
Yeah, because if you make the argument that like the Spider, a lot of times it's involved with Oscorp, and Tony's a billionaire who's just letting stuff go off, so he's pissed off that he's a spider freak. And
there is one other person.
Motherfucking Batman! I forgot about that.
Also,
Paul Giamatti as Batman.
I'm gonna go X-Men, and I'm gonna make the story that Spider-Man is genetically altered, so people accept him, but they don't accept the mutants because of a quirk in their genetic code. So the X-Men are fighting someone that has the privilege that they don't, and that'd be an interesting commentary on like genetic versus inherent.
All right. C Black, normies are really excited for Fantastic Four. 1 billion. If it's good, it's got a shot. If it's really good, it's got a shot. I would say though, you're looking at the 700 to 800 range.
Yeah, I feel like people have like heard obviously of the Fantastic Four. They're enough in the pop culture lexicon. The fact that you had Chris Evans and Jessica Alba in the first iteration, you had Michael B. Jordan, even if it was terrible, and Teller, and just what their names pull, but they don't have the draw that a Batman, that a Spider-Man does, and they need time to build out. So I'm gonna say probably 657.
Okay.
I'm going to go 7, 8, but I also think it could hit $1 billion. But I don't think people realize how rare $1 billion movies are, except for like there's a couple years where we had a ton of them, but it's still kind of rare. So I don't know. 7 to 8 is not a bad thing.
Mike Revel. Cavill could be a great Sinister. John Hamm, if older. Cavill could be interesting. I do buy a lot of stock in the Star Wars rumors. I think he's going to wind up in Star Wars.
Yeah, yes, on the Star Wars. I don't know about him with Sinister, only because Sinister has a little bit of like this kind of the only way I can describe it is almost like a flamboyant sort of energy about him, and that's what like Ryan Gosling did with Ken, which is why I keep bringing that up. You know what I'm saying? There's that I don't get that air from Henry. He's always more of like, he's super friendly and all that, but he's always a little bit always serious.
Right.
So I just don't know. I don't know if I agree with that.
Multi-2 Terminator. Thoughts on Ulrich Thompson as Sinestro? I'm just happy to get another Green Lantern character in the show and one of DC's best villains. Hopefully they don't kill him off. I mean, I don't know enough about Ulrich, but people are pretty excited about him getting cast. I like the direction they're going in.
Yeah, that was one of the ones I covered on Blurred Breakdown on Monday, and I remember him from Counterpart. A good friend of mine who was in that show for a while. He is very good, and so I am looking forward to seeing him bring Sinestro to life and being a good balance, honestly, to Kyle Chandler.
I love the casting they're doing because they're casting what seems to be like actors over just trying to get names. And I think that's going to be really good for longevity, for scheduling availability. And I've heard he's great. I watched a couple of clips because I didn't know him. I watched a couple of clips and they announced him, and he's got great presence, and he's like genuinely sinister, important for Sinestro. So I think it's a great pull.
70 questions, guys, with 15 minutes left to go. And here is It's Trey Davis. Think we get a telephone booth change in Superman? Yes.
Yes. And I hope so.
Where does he do it in one of like the hotel ones because they aren't on the street anymore? So he's just like, I need somewhere to.
Yeah, it's gonna be like one of those things. Yeah, for sure. It'll be like
or he
Vegas.
pops over to London
or Vegas or something. Zach Roberts, in my opinion, Dacre Montgomery is a perfect Wolverine. He's got the anger for it, for sure.
He's so pretty, though.
Power Rangers and Stranger Things.
He's closer to Cyclops to me. He's real pretty. I don't think Wolverine's pretty. I think he's rugged.
And what's his height?
As Wolverine? Nah.
No,
that guy's a pretty man.
He's got the chops for it, but I just don't think he's the gruff.
He's closer to Gambit than Wolverine for me.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah,
agreed. He's a good actor though. I like that kid. C Black, awesome Butler as Gambit. Also, why not Fassbender and McAvoy? Because they gotta reboot it, man. They gotta reboot it.
Though I have a feeling they'll show up in Secret Wars, and we'll get one final. I honestly think that we'll probably get Stewart and McKellen and Fassbender and McAvoy as like a final goodbye, because again, you're bringing it all.
I hope so. I mean, that's going to be a 4-hour movie, man.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, yes.
Yeah. Watt Real Entertainment. Is this Matt? It is, right? Yeah, I gotta ask thoughts on Lillard's return to Scream. I asked him about it when he was here, and he's always been kind of back and forth. And he's always been up up for it. They're probably going to do flashback or something along those lines, or something. It'd be like the same kind of thing they did with Billy. Sure, why not?
Wait. Decker was the one with the long hair and the bats in Stranger Things, right?
Yeah, we still.
I am paying attention to Lillard. I gave 2 thumbs up. I'm here for it. I'm just trying to
Billy.
make sure.
It was Billy.
It was Billy, the brother.
The one possessed by the demon. There it is. Okay.
I'm going to comment on what entertainment here. I think Matt Lillard is one of the best actors working in any genre, and I think he's especially good in the horror genre. He is Scream to me, so this is particularly exciting for me because I love the dude.
Totally. Ryan S. Recently, it seems like more people have been accepting of Batman and Robin for what it is. What bad movie do you think will be more accepted in 25 years? Bad movie will be accepted in 25 years. That's so hard for me to say. I don't know. Like, it depends on what you think is a bad movie. I'm not sure. Like, I'm trying to think of which one I saw. I don't. That's hard for me to think of. Like, unless I'm like watching it and going, "Oh yeah, I'm surprised more people don't like that movie." You guys have one?
I don't think it's a bad movie, but I think Red One will find an audience.
Yeah, I agree.
Bullet Train.
Yeah, Bullet Train's a good one too. Kaylin J. Jared Kiso as Wolverine. I don't know Jared Kiso.
He's the dude from that Canadian comedy show.
Letterkenny?
Yes, the biggest neck in the game. He's got
40. He's 40 years
40
old.
years old.
Yeah. I don't know.
He's also very tall. He's just Canadian.
Yeah. And Jason Isaacs for Magneto. I like Jason Isaacs. It's a good one. That's a good call. It's just, again, a little older, but it depends. I mean, Magneto could be a little older. Logan McCool. Hey, all, long-time listener, first-time super chat. Thank you, Logan. Coy Winston. Any comic recommendations that aren't Batman, Superman, Spider-Man, X-Men, etc.? Before you answer that, it's funny though. This just shows you like the times, right? This is essentially phone calls, like from radio shows.
Well, yeah, long time, first time.
Yeah, it really is. Like it really is. Like this, the phone calls are the super chats. 100%.
We're doing a radio show for 2025.
Yeah,
I love it.
All right, go ahead. The Batman, Superman, Spider-Man. Outside of that, you got one?
Sure. I will circle back to our Boom Days. A Vicious Circle was fantastic. I actually read all the way through that. I really, really enjoyed that. Coy and I have both talked about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Last Ronin. That whole storyline is amazing. And then if you want to even go a step further and like dip your toe into the manga world, My Hero Academia ended a couple months ago. It's probably been about 4 or 5 months. So it's a completed series. Fantastic. I genuinely think you would enjoy it.
Coy?
Saga, I talk about all the time. These posters are Saga. Also, like plugging my channel, I literally read 50 to 70 a week and give you my top 9. Often they include those Batman, Spider-Man, etc., but I'm breaking out everything. So lots of stuff. Department of Truth. It's a really cool, like X-Files-y, crazy. If you like Kristian's UFO conversations, that dabbles in that world. I also think that at DC, there's a lot of really cool occult stuff like John Constantine Hellblazer. In every corner of comics, there is great indie stuff, but Image really focuses on getting the best storytellers and giving them a time to shine. So check out like Image and Boom for indie stuff.
All right. Next one here. And this is Logan again, going to House of Secrets tomorrow and wanted some new stuff that isn't out of the big, super well-known characters. Well, there you go. You got a couple of recommendations there. Casual.
My shop, they got lots of me's. I went there to find me.
It's hilarious. Just watched King Arthur and Charlie H. Got me wondering, could DC's Dark Knights of Steel work on the big screen as a film?
Huh.
Speaking of Charlie Hunnam, I love King Arthur, by the way. That movie, that's one of my movies that I hope finds an audience. I think Dark Knights of Steel could work as more likely an animated. I don't see them necessarily, because that's a lot of budget for production design, and like it takes money to make Game of Thrones. So I think it'd be a really cool Elseworld animated, but I'd love to see either.
Okay. Let's see. Next one here is from GoPal. Did you see Undeclared? Apatow's follow-up to Freaks and Geeks. Hunnam was one of the stars. People didn't believe he's English because his native accent is so odd.
Sounds like Welsh. He's got a really weird accent.
Yeah. No, I didn't see. I mean, I remember Undeclared. I didn't see it though.
I didn't see it either, but I do remember the hearing about it.
Spidey Sensei 72. New photos of the leader look disappointing. How bad or good do you think the new Hulk film will be? The new Hulk film? I mean, I guess that is what it is.
That's the joke. That's
Is that the joke?
I haven't seen the images.
I haven't seen the images either. I didn't really want to see them yet. So I don't know yet, but as far as the new, I mean, they're going to have the Hulk in it. Ruffalo's got to show up in this thing, right?
It'd be
Yeah.
great if it was Ed Norton.
That'd be hilarious too. It'd be good if he showed up in if Norton
Secret
showed
Wars?
with it. Yeah, but the only thing is the reason why he wouldn't show up because he's supposed to be the same guy. It's not a variant.
Right.
Yeah. Roman, hey all, grateful to the show and being here. All the focus on Superman has inspired me. I'm going to read All-Star and embody his values more. Roman might be the most positive human being on the planet.
We like you, Roman.
He's the
And
best.
yes, read it, embody it, be it. Just be good.
Here's Screwface John. What's up, guys? This is random, but Winston, I peeped your K-Dot reference every time Kristian does the Mad Hatter mustard thing. LOI, I flew solid ones left, but it's not enough.
Hey, real quick, if Screw is still here, man, you're
Mustard.
Nothing bad. If somebody got to do it, got my foot up on the gas, but somebody got to do it. But real talk, your Acadiddy track is fantastic. Call that bastard out, man. I love your work, man. Keep doing what you're doing.
Nathan Drake, thank you, Screwface. Always the best. What are your thoughts on the new Amelia Perez controversy and the resurfaced tweets? Will it hurt Oscar chances? Also, when do you see Cap 4, Cage? Let me answer that first part. Who the hell knows? Not sure yet. Who knows? We all been trying to find out. There's a lot of shuffling going on in the PR department over there, so we don't know.
Thursday at AMC.
We
Like,
have,
I think
yeah,
I'm just
most
seeing it.
likely it looks like it probably. Who knows? Right now, no one knows what's happening over there. So, not a lot of people that I know have screenings. Some people do, some people don't. So, who the hell knows? Thoughts on the Amelia Perez controversy and research? I tried to not pay attention to controversies anymore. And as far as it goes, I did read it. Do I think it'll hurt the chances? Maybe not, in the same way that the AI stuff may or may not hurt. I got a whole bunch of crap last week about my thoughts on the Oscars. I stick with it. The Oscars can go scratch a ball bag and talk about it on Thursday. They're horrible. They're so stupid. They mean nothing. They mean nothing. They get the person their next job. That's all it is.
And a boosted rate, and like anybody that wins an
Oscar,
Oscar,
it's good for your career.
Payday. It's good for your career.
It's good for the business. It's not hey, we want you to watch our business meeting is really what it is. It's like, hey, all the people out there, the average people who we need to watch, not just the hardcore movie fans who are going to watch it. We need the average person to watch it, and we're going to complain when our ratings are down, but we want you to watch our meeting. Come watch our meeting.
But that's exactly why they tried that best, most popular movie, or like vote for your favorite movie moment.
And that doesn't work either.
It's Movie Awards, and it doesn't work.
It's not, and that's what people didn't understand. Like, what do you want to do? The popular movie? No, that would be so stupid and terrible if they did it that way. There needs to be more public awareness for these movies that you're nominating.
You could also split the difference. There were fantastic performances in movies that were out there that, again, were popular, but you don't even want to remotely recognize it for any reason whatsoever.
No. Andrew Carnes would love Harloff's reaction to Superman comics. The comics? I mean, you use me. Whoa! Hey! Yeah. Joe for show. Schottenheimer. Winston Schottenheimer. What happened?
That is the new head coach of the Cowboys.
Oh.
And Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones is out here saying something ridiculous like, when you hire a coach, it's not all smiles and glory holes. And I was like, excuse me, what?
Did he say glory holes? That's amazing.
Yes. No, he actually said smile.
So
it's
good.
not all smiles and glory
And
holes.
he goes, it's not, I'm not saying what you think I mean. I'm talking about the holes you put your cock in. I was like, okay, great. Go for show. Just watched Interstellar last night. It was great. Yeah, I'm gonna. That's one of the ones we're definitely gonna do a rewatch or watch with Sam. There's so many movies that she hasn't seen that I can't wait to do. Casual scroll. Shang-Chi versus Iron Fist. Who wins? Right now, better movie. Shang-Chi.
I think he just means in a fight.
I know, but I'm just saying because he's got a better movie. So
because Iron Fist doesn't even have a movie. He has a shitty show.
No, it's a shitty show. So I'm saying that's why.
I think Shang-Chi wins both.
Interesting. I was gonna say I think Iron Fist wins the fight.
All right.
Depends on who's writing them. But I feel like
Joe
Shang-Chi
for show.
True.
How great would a Deadpool versus Deathstroke movie be? Speaking of Deathstroke, I might actually have Joe Manganiello on the show soon. So
Nice.
here we go.
You know what I just realized?
No.
because I'm still stuck on that Shang-Chi Iron Fist. That feels like watching Jackie Chan fight Jet Li. And just
That's exactly what it is.
The two goats go.
Go for it. Who's better, Yorgos Lanthimos or Robert Eggers? Right now, I don't know better. I prefer Robert Eggers. Although I loved Poor Things, loved it. I've found myself not liking some of Yorgos' stuff. Like people love The Lobster. I can't stand it. There's other movies that he's done, but Robert Eggers to me is the one I prefer.
I loved The Favorite. I think it's one of the funniest comedies in a long time, and that's Yorgos. But I am drawn to Eggers movies more often. But they're both like top directors working. I think they're both fantastic.
Hippo Nipple, hell yeah. Love this show so much. Thank you, Hippo Nipple. Big Doctor Strange fan. Wasn't thrilled with Multiverse of Madness. What are your thoughts on Raimi coming back for Strange 3? Same. I would like to. Sam Raimi's doing something. I just had this with Clark Wolf. He's doing like a horror movie in his wheelhouse type thing. I like when he does movies like that. I like when he does creative original movies. I don't want to see him do another Marvel one. It just feels like a Sam Raimi movie. It doesn't feel like a Marvel movie in general. I like, yeah, it's cool. See the piano thing and those notes flying around. That was fun to see, but it was just stylistic. Armada, genius movie pitches. LeVar Ball and Roseanne Barr tutor JTE to win the National Spelling Bee. I am in. Sign me up. You get $1 billion. Sun Tzu. What's up, gang? I've been watching Foundation. It's pretty good to me. I was thinking if we were starting over with X-Men, how about Lee Pace as Magnus? Granted, he was Ronin, but he was wearing makeup.
I feel like you could cast Lee Pace again safely. Like people would not recognize him. That's a cool Magnus casting. I like that. That's fun all around.
Okay. So good. We have a couple left here. You guys are at 80. Not bad. Trey Parker, funny enough, apparently teenagers were buying tickets for Wild Wild West and sneaking into South Park. That makes a lot of sense. Yes.
Yeah.
I am Jax 12. Eternals for me was a victim of money versus story. Could have been huge. Some of my favorite MCU cinematography. 10 out of 10 in Darkness, Permission to Land. I'll tell you what. I think all three of us are the only three people, and you, I guess, I'm just that like that movie. Yeah, that one I am actually looking forward to seeing. I don't think I've seen it since I saw it with you guys.
I think that's a 25-year. Hopefully, it finds its audience. But I would not say it's a bad movie, so it didn't fit that other super chat.
This is a tough one. Big Bang OT4. What are you guys' top 3 favorite movies? I don't know about the top 3. I'm going to tell you the top 3 that come into my mind, and I don't necessarily know if they would be even the top 3 if I made a list. But the top 3 that I think of, my brother did this to me the other day. He goes, "Okay, you got to name your top movie in 5 seconds. Go." Well, the first one comes out. So top 3 favorite movies, or just ones that I like: Empire Strikes Back, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, and Braveheart. Those are the 3 that pop in my mind. Coy?
I got 4. Fight Club, The Matrix, In Bruges, Kiss Kiss, Bang Bang.
Winston?
Rush Hour 1 and 2 is one movie. Inception and my mind went blank. Ninja Turtles, Secret of the Ooze.
That's a good one. Nerds Engage. Throw out your opinions and ideas, Chad. Engage. 100%. Thank you, Nerds Engage. Such a good ambassador for this channel. Scott B, I love the show. Just started the Darth Bane trilogy and would love to see Cavill play him. Please. That would be amazing. Cool. Oh my God. But they would never lead it with a villain. What Star Wars villain do you want to see it done correctly? Revan, Bane, Darth Bane, Malik, for sure. Do you guys have any Star Wars villains you know that?
I knew the name Darth Bane.
Yeah. There you go.
Revan 1,000%. Knights of the Old Republic is one of my favorite video games of all time.
Well, Coy, just go geeky on you the way you go geeky on me with comics. Do you know who Darth Bane is? Like what he was famous for?
No, I've just heard he's cool.
He created he is cool. He created the rule of 2.
Oh, that is cool.
He realized that he was part of the Sith army, and when he became like one of the highest in the ranks, but he realized that the Sith were never going to beat the Jedi because they just couldn't get it together because they were always trying to corrupt one another and one up each other. He said this. He's like, there needs to be just 2 of us, one that has the power, one that craves the power. And he did like a Sith like thought bomb and killed all of the Sith. It's awesome.
2 things popped into my mind. I mean, first, again, Knights of the Old Republic, because obviously, I know you've played that game, Kristian, yourself, right? So the whole idea of the Sith Academy, and that's exactly what happens. The entire academy is constantly trying to kill each other.
Yeah.
But then also the other thing is, Coy, I saw the wheels turning. You're like, Bane. Yeah, maybe instead of Venom, he's just like pumping, the Force into him, and
I'm telling you, he'd be great. Big Bang OT4. More excited for Dune Messiah or the Odyssey? Oh, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. Oh man. I'm only gonna take the Odyssey here because Dune 1 and 2, and this goes to prove that Dune 1 and 2 is really one movie and not two movies. Because I have those movies that if I didn't get it, the next movie, I would be like, okay, I still have those movies. The Odyssey, I just want to see what the hell that looks like under a Nolan lens.
I gotta go.
I gotta go the Odyssey for the same reason. Sorry.
Yeah.
No. You're good. I gotta go the Odyssey, and just from the standpoint of Christopher Nolan is on my Rushmore of directors. And I love Villeneuve, but Nolan's up there.
Yeah. Speaking of which, Ian Davis, Nolan's Odyssey could take over 2026. What do we have on the schedule for 2026 that could also be huge hits of the year? Well, Mandalorian and Grogu.
And
that one for sure. Doomsday. Yeah, right. Avengers.
Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow.
Yeah, there's kind of a lot. We have to go through that whole list, but there's a lot.
Movie.
Yeah,
there's a lot of like big.
Yeah, that's a UFO movie, right?
Yeah.
I Am Jax 12. Scream should do an homage to Wes Craven's New Nightmare. Scream set in the real world. All characters at their disposal. Meta opportunities galore. Yeah, maybe they could do it that way. You know, like a Last Action Hero type thing. They could. I mean, they've got 8 movies now? 7 movies. They got to do something different.
Matthew Lillard at a con.
Yeah, more. Yeah. Casual Scroll, really excited for Ryan Coogler's Sinners. Could have done without the second trailer. The second trailer, I bet you he did not like that trailer.
I did not watch it.
Not watch it.
I'm good on the first one. The only thing I saw hella black people being like, poor Josh Allen must be losing his mind the way Haley Steinfeld's rubbing all up on Michael B. Jordan.
I saw that GIF, but it said like Shamik Moore dying right now.
Yeah, I'm telling you, like it gave away the whole movie. Mr. I crap and shits. As for the leader, not spoiling anything, but I like it. A comic accurate leader would be too goofy in live action. They do work the forehead ridges. Okay. All right. Screwface John. I just dropped my phone when Kristian did the glory hole joke. You should think of doing comedy sometime, maybe stand up. Sarcasm, by the way. Thank you, sir. Big Bang OT4. Should Lucasfilm make more adult themed Star Wars shows? Speaking of, by the way, just going back on that, the what Screwface said, I had Joe Piscopo on my show, and I have a full hour that I'm going to release with him next week. And we talked about stand up for his stories about working with Seinfeld, watching Larry David go up on stage, freaking Robin Williams. It was amazing. It was amazing.
Is Big Bang asking like Sarlacc pit glory hole? Like, what does he mean by adult?
No, exactly. No, he's asking.
Like, I mean,
no, and the answer is yes, they should be doing it, but they won't because that's what Andor is the closest thing that they have to that.
I mean, look, man, if you need that, Coy, go look up Star Horse.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm away.
Yeah. My favorite thing that has ever happened on this show, and I don't remember what episode it was, and I said, "Oh my, they're going to put Sarah J in a movie," and Winston goes. His face like lit up. He knew immediately. Look at his face. He's like, "No, I don't know who that is. I don't know who that is.
What are you doing?
I don't know who that is." Chris Krause. If Hugh stays in, I'm ready to see him as the other X-Men. How Wi-Fi works and tell him to shut the door. The heating bill is expensive. Damn.
Let my good air out, damn it.
Yeah. You have a couple left here, guys. Sorry, Ewok. The only comic movies to be up for Best Picture at the Oscars are Black Panther and Joker. All the comic movies currently in development. What do you think is the best shot to be a Best Picture nominee?
They kind of steered away from that, right?
Yeah.
Like I feel like Eternals and Wakanda Forever and certain movies kind of aimed for that, and then they weren't rewarded.
They went away from it.
And I think the Academy, like, I don't have quite the same, like, I'm more neutral towards it. I think some years I'm excited, some years I'm not, but I just don't think that they're trying for that anymore. And I think it's a shame the Academy doesn't always acknowledge the talent that goes into genre film.
It's going to be a DC thing, if anything. Kenya King, I need a Terminator versus Mars Attacks movie. Sure. Come on, get the aliens. Hurry.
Terminator versus the Matrix. Skynet versus the Matrix.
Get out of my way, Neo. You're doing the things at the back and the forth. Get on your skateboard and get out of here. Armada. Genus Movies pitches Freaky Friday, but Jerry Jones swaps with Mike Jones.
Oh my God.
I'm sold.
Yes.
The rapper?
Yeah. This guy's changing. He's changing Hollywood. Matt Thomas. Anyone going to watch Apple TV's The Studio? Which one is that?
The Seth Rogen show.
Oh, okay.
Literally the teaser they put out was 2 executives walking a red carpet and like looking over like, who are all these people? And then going like, oh, they're influencers. They're not even allowed in. And I was like, thank you for
perfect
acknowledging the state of things.
Ian Davis. They have revealed some of the cast of Nolan Odyssey. Who plays the main character? I think they already said, isn't it Tom Holland? That's Tom Holland.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. Kenya King, we need a Big Trouble in Little China type from Dusk Till Dawn type of movie in the DCU. We need more original movies like this. Yes, I agree.
That's where, in my opinion, you saw the MCU shine. Is there was a point at which it felt like they were focused on each one of these as a different genre film. So the Winter Soldier being like an international spy film, or Ant-Man being a heist movie. Let's get back to that. All right, 2 left here, guys. Kenya King, favorite horror movie icon? Mine's Freddy Krueger. Mine as well.
Hard to top Freddy, but the Ghostface up there.
The Sunken Place.
Joe Manganiello, remind me, the Dungeons and Dragons movie was underrated, criminally underrated. That was a really good movie.
So good.
Very good movie.
So
It bombed. It bombed. Guys, you did well. 89.
Damn it.
Roxy takes Roxy takes it this week.
Good for Roxy.
So, Coy, real quick, tell the kids where to find you.
At YouTube, at Coy Jandro, and at your local comic store, tag me, #Coy Comic, and I'm going to share it. I want to see lots of these. I'm so excited. This is my Oscar. I got it.
Winston A.
Swaggy Blurred on all the channels. Blurred breakdown this evening, and then the Sonic 3 reaction coming out this weekend.
You can also find him at the Sarah J fan club.
Hey!
So you can go.
Is that listed at the AVN Awards?
Roxy had the Red Gents. No shot. Which one was the Red Gents? Forget. Either way, thank you guys for being here. I appreciate it. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere podcasts find. Please go and watch the Homecoming reaction with myself and Sam. If you haven't checked out our reactions, please go ahead and do that. I think that especially you guys in this audience will really enjoy it. So thanks for being here on Capes and Cowls today. This is available anywhere podcasts are found. And if you get yourself some trade coffee or AG1 Robinhood, that helps the show out more than you can know. Thank you guys. And we'll see you both. Or both? Sure. Everyone on the flip side. Bye-bye.
Mustard.
Indeed.
Man.